I don't care about award shows. They have nothing to do with art.
I'm so sorry.
I don't need to beg for some acclaim to desperately build my fame. I write and sing and act to be a part of a community of people who value integrity. I don't care about award shows.
Hello, all you theater lovers, both out and proud and on the DL, and welcome back to Broadway Breakdown, a podcast discussing the history and legacy of American theater's most exclusive address, Broadway. We are covering this year's 2024 Tony Awards, and I am your host, Matt Koplik, the least famous and most opinionated of all the Broadway podcast hosts. And with me today is an alum of the pod, friend of the pod. You know him. I know you don't love him, but like,
yeah.
So
not to everyone's taste.
To paraphrase from O'Mary, everybody knows James. Nobody likes her, but everybody knows her. Please welcome back James Seol.
Hi.
Hi, James.
Very happy to be here.
Very happy to have you back. How have you been since the world exploded with your Miss Saigon episode?
Oh my gosh, amazing! People recognize me on the street. No,
I do get a lot of feedback from people about that episode.
I'm really happy to hear that because, first of all, it's a commitment to when you start listening to it. Because what was the total time that it ended up being?
I think just under 3.5. 3.5 hours, and I cut a full hour out.
There was a lot to discuss with that particular show.
There sure was. But some of the reviews after that episode came out specifically mentioned the Miss Saigon episode of like, if you're going to listen to this podcast, listen to this episode.
I think you forwarded me a couple, and they both alluded to this idea that like, oh, I've never thought of that before. And I guess, the average theater person doesn't think about some of the things that perhaps someone who identifies as AAPI probably thinks about in regards to that show.
I mean, listen, I'm not saying that I'm the voice of multiple generations, but I do want this narrative out there that Kim's suicide at the end should be known as Kim's chess move. I've had people send me that as a hashtag, and if I have one legacy, it is that. The one thing I want on a coffee mug, the only person who can kill Kim is Kim.
That's good Broadway merch idea.
Absolutely.
That's a good Broadway merch idea.
Let's make it, send it to Ava Noblezada and Lea Salonga.
It's just subversive enough.
Yeah.
And you have to be in the know to get it. I love it.
The only person who can kill Kim is Kim. But James, we're here to talk about the Tony Awards.
Yay!
They happened.
Yes, they sure did.
Where did you watch them?
I watched them at home. I forced my fiance to watch them with me.
Gross. Does he care for theater?
No, not really. I take him to a lot of things. In fact, before we were together, I think maybe 2 or 3 things he'd ever seen on Broadway prior to our relationship. Mm-hmm. So I drag him to a lot of things. He was also prepping for his bar exam that he's going to be taking in a couple months. So
he's a real person.
Yeah, he's a real person, a civilian. So he was doing that while sort of in and out watching the Tonys last night.
Sure.
Yep.
Did he have any stakes in the game? Any skin in the game?
No, although when the Illinois number came up, I was like, you have to watch this because I had just seen it, and I loved it, and invariably I started crying during the number.
Because it's Predatory Wasp.
Yes.
Because that's the song.
Yes, right. Yes. It pulls at I don't know what it does. It's just magic. The music is magic, so it just immediately goes right to the solar plexus.
I have to do a talk about it at some point today when we do this, because I posted on my story about how either you understand Predatory Wasp with the Palisades is out to get us, or you're not gay. And somebody wrote in. So I also had people on Instagram. I said, write in your responses to the ceremony and blah, blah, blah. And I said, we'll try to read as many as we can. Now, full disclosure, y'all, and we'll get back to James telling us about his very exciting Tony viewing experience. But thrilling. But similar to when the nominations came out, y'all broke my NGL app and just sent in over 200 messages.
Just off that story?
Off of that story, yeah. Incredibly famous I am. Thank you for asking.
I mean, yes, you are. Yes.
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 So-
100%.
well, listen, I won't say who, but somebody who I had never met or spoken to in the community reached out to me the other day after finding my post on Instagram about the Tony nominations in categories that don't exist yet.
A famous person?
Not famous, but like
Broadway famous?
they work on Broadway,
Okay.
and they have a footprint. Not an actor, but they have a footprint.
Got it.
And they reached out to me and they said, I listened to your podcast. I think it's great, blah, blah, and all this stuff. And he goes, from the things you talk about on the podcast, I think it's important that you are more well known in this community and more well liked in this community than you realize.
What a lovely compliment.
What a lovely lie I was writing. I don't think it's true, but he wrote it. And I read it, and I felt very good about myself for a minute. And then I came back home and had my mom say many things to me that notched down my self-confidence.
Brought you down to reality, or
Yeah.
a certain kind of reality.
She said, "Why does your hair look like that? Why are you
gosh.
wearing that shirt combo?"
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom. No, she's great. She doesn't really do that often. But
I think this medium is so difficult to tell often. Meaning podcasts. Like, how do you tell? Like, I mean, I guess you can have certain numbers, right, about listenership and things like that.
Yeah, and my listenership keeps going up each couple of months with each new series that I do, which is great. And with Instagram, I hate that I'm kind of reliant on it these days just to get the word out.
Sure.
But sometimes I'll have a post that does really well, which gets people to the profile, which gets people to the podcast. And so it's always like every year we get a little bit bigger, and we're still not like huge, but for
what's a huge podcast? I mean,
well, no, not we're
related
never,
to theater.
Yeah,
I
was going to say, because like we're never going to get to armchair expert level,
That's
but for a
right.
Broadway podcast, I do think we're sort of up there. But I don't know. I'm not. What are really famous Broadway podcasts?
That's something to ponder, definitely.
the-
but the thing is about yours, what I love about it is, and I mentioned this with the Miss Saigon episode too, that every episode is a commitment, and not just with time, but there's such specific things that are discussed, even when you have just a solo episode, and I think that's good. I think there's space for that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's not just a space where it's not puff pieces about shows. It's not you're not part of the promotional machine for Broadway shows. Like, it actually, there's a lot of critical thinking that happens here. There's a lot of discernment and taste that I think is shared.
Well,
so
then.
I appreciate it for all of that.
Thank you, Shishi. But I think also, you don't have to agree with anything that I say or anything that you say. But I just think the idea of critical thinking is important, and I know that now from some of the messages I got, because once again, every lot of messages sent in, some of them really wonderful, some of them I will just flat out say like kind of QAnon theory explanations of why certain wins happened.
Right.
I have to say, the majority of Tony voters now do not think about what is the most commercial thing to vote for. They don't think this is an open-ended run, this is a limited run, let's vote for it. Sometimes they do that with something like maybe Best Musical. I said,
Sure.
For example, Illinois, one of the things that had going against it was that it's closing in the summer. That's like it's got a hard out, whereas everything else in that category doesn't. But that doesn't affect performances. That doesn't affect design or direction.
Sure.
That's more affected by shows that have already closed, and it doesn't affect plays that much. It affects musicals more. We've got another year where if you were in a closed musical and you were nominated as a performer, you did not win.
Right.
That hasn't happened since 1999, and there's always circumstances for these things happening or not happening. But people wrote in a couple of things where I was like, "I'm sorry, thank you so much for listening and for writing in, but like that's a dumb theory that you just wrote." And I say that just because like this is such a niche thing to love and be passionate about.
Totally.
And
yes.
if we're gonna make a case for it to other people, we have to be smart. We can't afford to be dumb. Viewership was down 14% this year. Like, how about we make exciting things that excite people? That's not pandering. That's not stupid. That doesn't have world famous artists at the tail end of the performance trying to sell tickets, even though those world famous artists are not in the show at all, doing it 8 times a week, just fucking saying, because it doesn't matter in the end. Sell to the fucking nerds and sell it to them with intelligence and craft. This is all to say, I will not be able to read all of your messages, guys, because when I did this last time, it was a nearly 3-hour episode, and I still missed messages because NGL cut off at one point. I did open every single message. I read every single message. I have them absorbed. I will refer to some of them at one point. One of you asked me to give a shout out to you, but you didn't say what your name was, so I'm just saying, here's your shout out. Another one of you asked, would I ever get with you or date you? And I said no, because I don't know who you are. So
you must get those. You must get your fair share of those, right?
Of the thirst messages?
Yeah. When it's an anonymous.
When it's the Q&A anonymous, I get a good number of like, oh my God, I have a crush on you. Can we go out? And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that? I don't know who you are.
It's just meant to be a nice ego boost.
Yeah, and also like, of course we can't go out. If you listen to the podcast, you know that I'm emotionally broken. We're finally starting to heal.
Theme and all the episodes, right?
The thing about the Tonys.
Good segue.
Yeah. You were watching Illinois, but somebody asked in the message app. They said, "I'm straight. Can you explain the Illinois performance to me?" So we're gonna have to do that.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna have to do a whole speech.
That's a value add of this podcast. Yeah. Episode.
Well,
do that.
I think what it is for me is it's explaining why the predatory wasp of the Palisades is out to get us has impacted me so much.
Oh, I want to hear that.
Yeah. Well, as a song, it just fucking destroyed me. And when you watch it on the telecast, it's a shortened version. That song is 6 minutes long, and I think it's 4 minutes on the telecast. So things got cut, but just listen to it anyway.
Well, I think part of the reason that I was so moved was knowing that context, and I didn't spoil it for my fiance. I said,
"What's his name? Say his
Zach.
name." Zach.
So I didn't spoil it for Zach. But I was obviously very moved, very affected by it. I started tearing up, and I said, we're going to wait. We're going to wait until the two of us can see it together. Because I went on a solo date, not knowing really anything about it, other than it was a dance piece. There was music in it, obviously Sufjan Stevens' music, and bawled through 80% of it.
Yeah. Once we got to the gay story, I was a mess. I've mentioned this on the pod already. I did not know Sufjan's other work. I only knew the Call Me By Your Name stuff because I am basic and I'm terrible at music outside of theater. All of my friends, their job.
That's okay. You have a theater podcast. So
I do, okay. But like I want to know more about other things. And the more you learn, the more sharpened your senses and your insights get. And so my friends, their job is to inform me of like who's hot, what's a deep dive, shit like that. So I saw Illinois, and except for the tween girls in front of me who I just wanted to throw over the mezzanine.
Ooh. It
was a very pleasant experience. They were just talking to each other the entire time.
The entire time?
Yeah, it was 6 of them, and then their moms were in the row in front of them.
Okay, audiences are only getting worse and worse.
They really are.
It's infuriating. The amount of candy wrappers now that I guess because they sell stuff in the lobbies and they let you eat it in the theater now, people don't care, and it just makes all this noise.
Yeah,
this is very like shaking my fist, get off my lawn, old man.
Well, what it is
really annoying.
I want to do a thing about this on Instagram at some point, whether I write it out or just do a video. I can't tell, but my main gist is that the ticket you purchase is expensive for just everyone. And part of the reason why it is expensive is capitalism. It costs a lot to run a show. And also, like, the more popular the show is, the more producers can get away with charging tickets.
Of course.
Because it's exclusive. But that's one part of it. The other thing you're paying for is having an experience that isn't going to be replicated.
Right.
Yes, the show's going to get performed again tomorrow, but everyone in that audience is going to be different, and they're bringing a different energy because everyone's having a different day. 100%. The cast might have a different day.
Yep.
Someone will be out. Something might go wrong. Someone might have a flub. Someone might be in better vocal health on Wednesday than they were on Tuesday.
Yeah.
The day
unique experience every time.
The day Jonathan Groff had on Thursday will be different than the day he had on Friday, and that will affect his Franklin Shepherd. And that's something to think about. So you are paying for every second you're there that will never be replicated. And you want to just be as taken away in this moment as you possibly can.
Transported.
And truly transported. And the reason why many of you might be rolling your eyes at me when I say that is because you haven't gotten that from a Broadway show. Part of it is because maybe the show wasn't terribly good, but also because audiences are not allowing you to do that. when you are in that audience, it is not about you. It is about the communal experience. It is so special to be in a room with 900 strangers who all have either a collective reaction to something or different reactions to something. And every candy wrapper you unwrap, every phone that goes off, every cough during a dramatic scene, anytime you stop to talk to your person, you are distracting from the seconds that you have paid hundreds of dollars for, that you will never get back, the seconds you will never get back.
And distracting other people. And I don't think it's a small thing. Meaning,
it's not.
If there's someone literally right next to you opening up a candy wrapper or talking, it actually takes the people around in the immediate radius, right, of people out of it. And so they're not paying 100% attention to what's happening on the stage. It's being dispersed, right? The energy is being diluted, or the attention is being diluted, and it's really, really unfortunate. I hate it so much.
Yeah, and there's been some good shit this year.
Yes,
maybe not all with the musicals, but there's been good shit, and audiences are not allowing themselves to get wrapped up in it. They want it.
Yes,
they want their own comfort. They want it to be about them. I mentioned this when I had Susan Porfor on the podcast, that the night I saw Mary Jane, someone during an early scene in Susan's first scene just did a very light, "I love you, Rachel McAdams," and the entire audience got angry.
What?
The good thing about that moment was, but this is another example of like, no night is the same, because that never happened again at Mary Jane as far as I know. But that ended up being a positive thing, because the entire audience sort of collectively went, we will not let that ruin this. We are now going to pay attention harder.
Oh, so everyone leaned in.
Yeah, not a single
and
cell phone went off. Very little coughing.
Yeah,
I didn't hear any candy wrappers.
Yeah.
No one was speaking, but like, it was in the first 30 minutes. And everyone was like pretty on board, but like, there was some rustling, whatever. And then that happened, and everyone went, "Fuck that asshole!"
Yeah.
Like now I'm going to we got to commit to this.
We're committing, and we're all collectively fighting against whatever that dude did.
Yes, exactly.
That's great.
I love it.
That's great.
Yeah.
That also, and this might eventually be all cut out of this episode because we haven't really talked about the Tonys yet. But the other thing that I will add about this is you mentioned ticket prices. So it's this entitlement of what this ticket price gets me now. So it gets me, stay like at the stage door, you have to talk to me, you have to sign my things or whatever. And then in the room, in the in the theater itself, it gets me like, well, this is my living room, so I can treat it like my living room. So I'm going to snack, I'm going to drink, I'm going to make whatever noises I need to make, as if it's just me watching TV.
Which I don't understand, because now it's less special. Now you've paid $250 to be in your living room. You could have just been in your living room and not paid the $250.
Yep.
Well, like, somebody make that make sense to me.
Makes zero sense. It doesn't make any sense.
So there are people, one of the things that people have written out in my messages was like, to bring it back to the Tonys, and then get away from the Tonys, they're like, make it make sense. How can a show win Best Score and Best Book and not Best Musical? I'm like, we've been here before. This has happened. This has happened before.
Right. Many times.
And we'll talk about it in a second. But like, I can make that make sense to you.
Yes.
What I can make sense to you is the idea of coming to a show that you've paid $390 for a center orchestra seat that you're never going to see again, especially with this cast or with this audience. It can't be replicated. And you bring your curry chicken from the takeout Ollie's.
Oh my God.
You kick off your shoes, you forget to turn off your phone, and I go, you could have gone to the movies for $22. You could have gotten takeout and rented something, or just watched something on Netflix, and you would have saved half of your rent. Why this? I don't get it. Either you are bad with money, been there, done that, but I learned, I'm a dum-dum in other ways, but I've learned to be better with my money, but either you're bad with money, you're an idiot, or you're an asshole. Which of the three is it? Because...
Or multiple things can be true all at once.
If you're bad with money, I can teach you. I'm not great with numbers, but every other cousin and sibling that I have is good with numbers, and they taught me. Are you an idiot? I have books I can lend you. Are you an asshole? I've got a right hand. Let me slap you with it. There are ways to improve. Just tell me which of the doors to open, you stupid bitch. Just tell me. I would love to know.
I'm going to assume all of this is a moot point for your listeners, though, specifically, because all your listeners are, polite and proactive theater goers. I'm leaning into the positive here.
To quote Barrett Wilbert Weed and Heathers, you hope, you dream, you pray. But so, Christ. I don't
mind this tangent, I'll be honest.
Thank you. I can't tell if everyone who writes in on Instagram in these Q&As or anonymous NGLs, whatever, if all of them listen to the podcast or not. Because I will say, the one thing I'm very proud of with this podcast is everyone who reaches out about it, who writes reviews, and I have a review I got to read at one point. The reviews have been so articulate, well written. I sent one to my mom when we got back from London, and she was just like thrilled by it. And I went, I don't think that it's because of me, but I do take pride in attracting intelligent listeners.
Yeah.
I don't think that makes me intelligent, but it's nice to know that these intelligent people choose to listen.
And maybe it's more the kind of discourse that you allow for in your specific podcast space. I think that's maybe what attracts listeners who have discerning tastes and listeners who can articulate the whys of whatever their specific opinions are.
Yeah. And I'm not perfect. I definitely have been guilty of ranting in a twatty mood on this podcast about certain shows that I...
Well, you have a lot of episodes, so inevitably that's going to happen.
We're not going to talk about Mother Play too much. It went home empty-handed. There are some shows that I did not care for this year. There's one... Okay, I'll put it this way. We all know I do not like Hell's Kitchen. I do think that script is objectively terrible, but I did not fully hate it. There were things about it I could go, that was good. Keisha Lewis, for example. After last night, I kind of fully hate that show now. And it's not the fault of any of the performers. It is solely the fault.
It rarely is. Rarely. In musicals that aren't maybe as well crafted or well made.
Yeah.
It's interesting how much a good performance can perhaps plug some of those holes up.
Oh, plug it up? Okay. Speaking of plugging holes up, saw Titanic at Encores recently. Talk about a situation where...
I'm going next week.
Okay, I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Talk about a situation where, like, great cast. There are people who maybe don't make as big an impression as others, but it's not their fault. There are just some roles in that musical where you go, why is this part here? They have no arc. There's nothing going on.
Inevitably. Because there's like 30 principals.
Yeah, it's trying to be Grand Hotel on the Titanic.
Right.
Speaking of Maury Eston, and it just doesn't work. The music is glorious. The script, I think, it doesn't blow. You're just sort of like you're waiting for the next song,
right?
And when the ship goes down, I do not cry when the ship goes down because I'm like, I don't really know anything about any of you.
It's too many people to try to attach to as an audience. There's no way.
Too many notes. There's too many notes.
But I'm excited for the score specifically.
Musically, you can't beat what they're doing there. First of all, it's a larger orchestra this time around than in the 90s, and everyone sounds good. Yeah.
And the cast, even for these smaller roles.
No, they did not skimp. Yeah, they did not skimp. I will say, it took me until the end of Bonnie Milligan's First Class Passenger roster to finally let go of certain things, because Vicky Clark's rendition of First Class Passenger roster is one of my go-to lip syncs. Which I know is niche.
I love that.
I know it's so niche, but I know every single inflection that bitch does because it's perfect. What she does is perfect. It's iconic.
It is. And so you know what you can hear in her voice, even on the recording, is the yearning.
You know what?
Oh my God.
No one really knows who she is, but the newspaper said she booked the most expensive suite on the ship and travels with 14 steamer trunks of medicine chest, her personal pills. Wait, fuck, I messed up. And steamer trunk of medicine chest, her personal pills, and she sent 4 little Pekingese dogs, so she must be somebody. She must be somebody.
I can hear it. I can hear the Victoria Clark in there.
And so I was watching Bonnie, who does a more tempered version of it. Her Alice Bean isn't as flighty as Vicky's was. And so I had to be and she sings it more. She doesn't do all the talk singing that Vicky does.
Right.
She also doesn't do Vicky's.
They have 2 different voices too.
I know, but it took I had to finally let go of the Vicky in my bones because I just have that. And that's his wife of 40 years named Ida Sad. She hasn't been well.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. For those recordings that you attach yourself to, and so it's almost impossible to disconnect that particular voice from that set of lyrics or melody or whatever. I totally understand that.
I've talked about this on the podcast before. I used to take voice lessons with Victoria Mallory in my second half of college. She was the original Anne in A Little Night Music. Mm-hmm. And when you do voice lessons, you do scales and you do whatever. And when you're in between that, you just talk to kind of keep the voice warm without overtaxing it.
Yes.
And so many times I'd be like, Vicky, do that line. She goes, what line? Like the line in Now, where you're talking while Frederick is singing.
I think I heard you talk about this.
And she goes, she's like, okay, what line do you want? I was like, say, oh, Frederick, what a day. It's been unending drama. And she goes, fine, she does that. I'm like, no, do it like you did on the recording.
But she's not going to remember. You remember it obviously more than she would.
So the one I remember the most, and eventually she learned how to say it because I kept asking for it, and I had to coach her how she says it on the recording, which was, but then French is much chicer language. Everyone says so. Parlez-vous français? And I had to coach Victoria Mallory how she did it, and she did it, and that was a wonderful moment in my life.
I love that so much.
I'm such a control freak.
I love that so much. The theater nerd in me loves that so much.
So the Tony Awards, you watched the whole ceremony.
I did, and I mentioned to you before we started recording that I jotted down some notes.
Sure. Also, did you have any skin in the game? Was there anything you were particularly rooting for this year?
No. Okay, full disclosure, I also haven't seen everything from this season.
Sure.
I've seen maybe 45% of the things that opened.
Okay, so you saw 72 shows.
So there were a lot. So some of these things... There will be some shows where obviously I have no there's no reason for me to speak on them because I didn't get to experience them. But that being said, I mean we already spoke about Illinois. I mean, I think that was my favorite thing this season.
Of all the things?
Of the things that I saw. I mean, you know, I was a big fan of Mary Jane as well. I thought it's a perfect play, and it was really beautifully executed.
Speaking of Titanic and Kaufman.
Yes.
I also want to say, by the way, Bonnie Milligan is fantastic in Titanic. I'm just saying I had to let go of what I've known for 20 years.
Oh my gosh, your listeners would understand that.
Yeah, but I need to say it out loud.
Okay, fair. Yeah, you don't want to be misinterpreted.
Yes, I don't want anyone to think that I have anything negative to say about Bonnie Milligan. That would kill me. She's wonderful in it. It took 3 minutes for me to let go of Vicky's interpretation.
That makes perfect sense.
Fantastic. No one really knows who she is.
So I will say this. I was also very sad that Harder Rock and Roll didn't get anything, really?
At least a book. No, it got zero. Should have gotten a book nomination.
At least a book nomination.
Yeah.
I thought the book for that show was the funniest of the season, and honestly, one of the more well-crafted books.
Listen, this was a bad year for librettos. I'm just going to outright say that.
Sure.
I found Heart of Rock and Roll's libretto to be the best of any of those nominees this year.
100%.
And I've been open that I enjoy Outsiders. I enjoyed Stuffs more than I thought I would, but I actually do think that the book is bumpy. And I'm proud of Shayna for her 2 wins, but I was like, if I had to give her one, it would be Score. Because the Book of Stuffs needs like another pass, but Heart of Rock and Roll, which is
another recurring theme. I feel like, and I think this has come up in past episodes of your podcast.
He listens, everyone.
I do feel like of some of the musicals that I saw, that there was they could have all used a little bit more time somewhere else.
Yeah.
Before having to come in, and I know the equation for a show coming in is so complicated. It's a calculus of available real estate and all that stuff. But that felt like a very consistent theme that was coming up.
Yeah, a lot of shows coming in before they were totally hatched. Yeah, we'll get into
maybe another 6 months to a year of somewhere.
And time is money, and you take the theater when you can get it. There are reasons for these things coming to Broadway when they do. But
like actual practical realities. I totally get that.
Yeah.
I totally get it.
I think because there were a couple of shows where I was like, oh, this is really close to being complete. And then other shows where I was like, oh, this needs like 2 more workshops and an out of town tryout. But alas, shows happen.
That if we can sort of organically get there, I would love to hear all that from you too.
But so yes, you watched the whole thing. You only saw 45% of the shows this year.
Yes.
So no real skin in the game.
No, not really. This was a season. I think this is true for a lot of people, where it was really, there were so many camps there's so many things that opened, particularly in the last couple months, and so there wasn't like one front runner that everyone was rooting for. So I think all the audience generally was very scattered, or not, is that the right word? They were disparate. Like they
Yeah.
were all like, this is team this musical, this is
Yeah.
team this musical, this is team this play, this is team this performer. So I feel like there was it was stretched thinner.
Yeah, no, there was definitely a spread out
season.
of the love of the winners, and that's actually been true of the last 3 years. We haven't had a true like sweep since Band's Visit, and I feel like that was more of a political statement from the Tony Awards.
Is that right? What year was Band's Visit?
That was 2018.
2018,
Because
okay.
Band's Visit, I think, ended up with 10. Because I don't totally count the COVID gas leak year, just in terms of like, not in terms of the people who actually won, but just in terms of trends. Because that was, you can't really look at that as trends for anything. But in the last, so this is 2024. So since 2010, we have only had, I think, 2 musicals win double-digit amount of Tony Awards, and that was Hamilton and the Band's Visit.
Right.
10 and 11. I'm pretty sure, because I think Book of Mormon won 9 and once won 8.
Does it have to be that extreme? Well, no, okay.
I
Book of
think-
Mormon and once. I mean, or would be I guess those would be like the medium ones. If they're not a
Yeah.
Hamilton,
I think 9 and higher is a nice clean sweep. I consider 5 to 8 a very strong, like, powerful showing. So like a
Yeah.
Hadestown, a Kimberly Akimbo, a Fun Home, where it's like you should be very proud of the number of
because
Tonys
that
right
was
now.
not this season at all, right? Even a 5 to 8 for
the-
one show.
The
right?
only show that got 5, and someone actually wrote in on this saying that the last 3 years, the most Tonys a show has won in the last 3 ceremonies has only been 5. This year, it was Stereophonic with 5.
Oh, sure.
Last year was
Okay.
Kimberly Akimbo with 5, and the year before that was the Company Revival with 5.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Kimberly Akimbo makes sense.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
But there are some years where, because of the nominations that we have, there isn't always a musical where you're like, you know what? So well written, so well done, acting great, direction great. Like, let's give it score, book, musical, and a performance or two, or even a direction. Because sometimes it's, we really liked this show. The impact was great, but like, we'll admit, the score is not as good as the score for this other show. But that show has a great score and a terrible book.
Right.
So like, we're like, or so an example being, let's say, the Year of Gentleman's Guide winning musical, direction, and book, but not score. Bridges winning score. Bridges was a case of, we all enjoyed this show. It has closed now. We're not going to honor Kelly, but we're going to admit it. This score is beautiful,
Yeah,
and is
which
definitely
it is.
Yeah, and like far above the rest of our nominations in this category. So like, we're not going to not give it to Bridges, but we're also not going to have that deter us from voting for Gentleman's Guide, which was an overall more enjoyable, like,
Yes.
compact
Right.
production for us.
Right.
So with something like, say, Outsiders winning over Suffs, I do feel like the wins for Suffs of score and book, in its way, were voters going, you know what? This was probably the score I liked the most. I maybe liked Stereophonic more, but I can't bring myself to vote for a play right now. Mm-hmm. And the Suff score, I said this before. I said this, I think, when I either reviewed it or when I did my rankings. The Suff score is the only score this year that's like actually a musical theater score.
Sure. Yeah. I agree with that.
Outsider score is a little more atmospheric, and it's the lyrics are simple, but that's sort of on the point. Notebook is very like sweeping music, but the lyrics are kind of duds. Water for Elephants is truly just water. It kind of washes over you and you forget about it.
That one feels a little bit more atmospheric too. I haven't seen Water for Elephants.
Water for Elephants,
I do
yeah.
want to see it based on the performance last night on the Tonys.
I thought it was a solid performance.
And it does feel more in the Outsiders vein than, say, in the Suffs vein.
Yeah, no, it is. They're both more atmospheric songs, although I find Outsiders' music to be a little more exciting than Water for Elephants' music.
Yeah.
Suffs, I do think, for all of its problems, has really good music. I had one person who wrote in who disagrees with that, but I do think the music in Suffs is good. It's also the only score this year, I'm pretty sure, that has exact rhymes in it. If not the entire time, like 95% of the time, which is rare these days. And I'm sure there were a lot of writers in that voting pool that was like, thank God, like, maybe I don't love this score, but Shayna is trying to do like the musical theater craft.
Yes, right.
But
With precision.
Exactly. But ultimately going, even though I like the writing and I like Shayna, because Shayna is a very lovely person, ultimately going, I can't vote for the show there are too many things about the production, about the vision, about how it all comes together, where it just doesn't totally work for me. Whereas Outsiders, yeah, like maybe it's my second choice for score after Stuffs. Maybe it's my second choice for book after Stuffs, but I can't deny that the overall product really got me.
Right, the overall experience of it.
Yeah, which is how Danya ended up winning.
Right.
And I'll talk about that as well, because a lot of people had opinions about Danya winning. Basically, we got two camps. We got one camp going, Maria was robbed. And one camp going, I was shocked, but I was thrilled that Danya won. Count me in the latter of people who were shocked, but thrilled that she won.
Sure. Okay.
And then one person said something snarky about, she forgot to thank her aunt, nepotism at its finest. So I was like, okay, kindly fuck off. Julie Taymor did not buy Danya Taymor a Tony Award. In fact, I think
I can't imagine that Julie Taymor was...
Julie Taymor...
I mean, I'm sure she's a lovely family member, but I can't imagine that there was any sort of favorites that were...
If anything, Julie Taymor being your aunt is probably a detriment to your chances. Because the woman has not delivered on her blank check of Lion King since Lion King.
True.
Spider-Man was toxic and
Right.
put her in Broadway director jail.
Right.
And ever since that, so I've had multiple accounts from people of her being at some of these Tony gatherings for this year to support Danya, but also openly being ugh, it's all shit this year. And enough people can hear that and go, I don't want to vote for her niece.
Wow.
I mean, listen, to Julie's credit, a lot of people on Broadway felt that way.
Sure.
About this season.
Sure.
There may or may not be a specific Tony winning person who I speak to on a rather regular basis who said to me point blank, half of these shows are going to be gone by Labor Day. And
Right.
he said, and I'm not upset about it.
Right.
And I went, oh, okay. And it's not me trying to weed out jerks. This person isn't a jerk, but Julie Taymor being drunk at a Tony party going, oh, this year has been such shit. It just hurts Danya's chances is all.
Sure. But to your larger point, yeah, I think that's true that perhaps the excitement level for a lot of things this season hasn't been, overwhelming.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think the only show this season that the Broadway community, two shows, I guess, that the Broadway community got excited about were Merrily for the Sondheim of it all,
Yes.
and Stereophonic.
Yeah.
And I think Stereophonic is actually more exciting because it was a play with no names in it from a playwright no one really knew.
Yeah.
There was no marquee names, and it became a homegrown phenomenon.
Yeah.
And now it's a hot ticket. I
Yeah.
have a friend in town who wanted to see a show this week, and I was like, oh, try Stereophonic. He goes, I tried. It's sold out through the end of June.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I was like,
I'm going to wait
till
till a summer lull, maybe in August.
Yeah,
To try to go
wait
see
till
it.
the end of August.
But you know what? This is actually an interesting point because this is something that a larger theme about last night that I really thought was resonant and powerful and sort of, rose to the surface, from speech to speech to speech. This idea that, okay, yes, show business is hard and really, really challenging. You never know what's going to happen. But sometimes the reversal of the fortune, right? The surprise can actually be in your favor. So I feel like the examples of Stereophonic, right? This off-Broadway play that started out at Playwrights did fairly well there. But again, no stars. And a really long play, a commitment, right? To have to sit through, and yet somehow, it ends up being such a huge success last night. Even Sondheim, right? The show that his one most notable flop.
Yeah.
Right? And last night it was celebrated. In such a huge way.
Yeah.
Even things like Billy Porter, I think about him, yes, okay, people have
I made a gesture, it's fine.
People have opinions about him, but I do think as far as his narrative, his life narrative is concerned, I can only imagine the dark nights of the soul that he had at certain points in his life when his career and life were in specific places, and now he's this very vocal star.
Yeah.
And I feel like there were a lot of wonderful moments of that last night, which was sort of my main takeaway from the evening.
There were a lot of things that I was really happy about. There were very few winners that I side-eyed. Even the ones that weren't my first choice tended to be my second choice.
Sure.
And I was totally okay with it, and I could understand why. The only two that kind of bugged me were one, Suffs for Book, just because I was like, I think we can honor Shayna with score.
Yeah.
I don't think the book is terribly good. And then the other one was Malia for Hell's Kitchen, just because like I don't like that show. I think that part is bad. I liked her at the public. I didn't see her do it on Broadway. She's been out a lot, and I've had a few people write in fuming about it because they're like, oh, apparently you can just not show up to work and still get the award. But
that was something of an upset last night, right?
I think it was a close call. I never truly believed that Kelly had it just locked and loaded. I felt if Days of Wine and Roses were still running, she might have. But that show was divisive. Yes. It had been closed.
Right.
She already
Although her performance, I have to say...
Oh, she's wonderful in it.
The best acting... I mean, she always sings beautifully. Mm-hmm. But the best sort of loose acting, like really just... making a mess on stage. Like being willing to make a mess on stage.
It's the messiest she's been in like 15 years.
So much.
Listen, Marianne was my vote.
Oh my god, and Marianne too.
But Kelly is my second. But from what I understand, it was a close race among the three of them. And I think what did it in was that Kelly's show had closed.
Right.
Kelly's show was polarizing. Mm-hmm. Marianne wasn't in a Best Musical nominee.
Right.
And while she is, in my opinion, the very much center of that show, she does not sing until the very, very, very end.
In terms of quantity,
yes. And her song and her voice is not one that's like, oh my god, she let loose, and it's like, it's...
Right, she's not skrelting.
Yeah, it's not a Jakina moment.
It's a huge 11 o'clock number.
No, she's a woman who's about to die. Yeah. So her singing is not phenomenal. It's pretty, but it's not powerhouse. And I've had people tell me, like, if she had one more song, she would have won. And I don't know if I agree with that, but it's possible. But both of them had a lot of things going against them, and I think with Malia, ultimately she had a big role in a big musical,
right? And
also the Tonys, one of like the three tracks they tend to go with lead actress in a musical is the breakthrough ingenue.
Sure,
they give that to actress more than they give to actor. There are three modes they'll do for leading actress in a musical to vote for. They do actress who's broken through, like Sutton and Millie,
right?
Heather Headley and Aida, Jakina with Paradise Square.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's not their first show, sure. It's the show that they broke through on.
Yeah.
Then there's
like a perceived breakthrough,
exactly,
because of the role itself. Or
totally. Then the next one is sort of a kissing cousin to this, which is the working actress who finally has her shot.
Yes.
Which is, it's not a Star is Born moment. It is more of a Kelly O'Hara in King and I, Victoria Clark in Landing the Piazza, where it's like, sure, we all know you. We all have known you. You might have been nominated in the past. But now the stars have aligned. We're like, this is the right role for you. Mm-hmm. We all paid attention. It's like how the Theatre World Awards have the Dorothy Loudon Award, which is their way of being like, technically, we can't give you a Theatre World Award because you've been in 5 Broadway shows. This is our way of saying, we noticed you this year.
Oh, I didn't know there was a Dorothy Loudon Award.
Yeah, Julie Benko got it last year. It's the award that's basically like, this is not your Broadway debut. We can't give you a Theatre World Award.
Right. But we love your whole body of work up to this point, kind of thing?
No, not even that. It's like, you were in 3 Broadway shows before this. We'd never really noticed you. But this year, you gave a performance that made us go... So like with Julie Benko and Funny Girl, it was she like finally became a name because of all
broke
that shindig.
Through, yes.
But like did Spring Awakening and Les Mis, so it wasn't her debut. So they couldn't be like, hey Julie, here's the Theatre World Award. They're like, here Julie, here's your Dorothy Loudon. Thank you for getting on our radar.
I love that there's an award for so many things.
I know, and yet James, I've got none. You've got that Lortel.
I've been nominated for a couple of things.
For a Lortel, I know. I've got nothing. I've got my right hand. That's what I got. So,
and this podcast.
It's not even complete again. But so, I said, so like the Kelly, Vicky, like you've been around and now you're finally getting the third one is the icon doing the icon thing.
Oh.
So that is, and so it's not your Entree on the Rise breakthrough. It's not You've Been Around Forever. It's the
like a Lansbury and
I say Lansbury and
thing?
Gypsy, Sweeney.
Yeah, okay.
It's Audra and Porgy and Bess. Mm-hmm, it's Bacall doing Woman of the Year.
Sure.
Where it's like, you're iconic. What you're doing is iconic.
Yeah, and this role, both you and the role are iconic.
Yeah, it's Patty and Gypsy.
Here you go. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And there are watered down versions of that, like Bernadette Peters and Annie Get Your Gun.
Okay.
Because Bernadette Peters in Song and Dance is the Kelly O'Hara King and I Award, which is like, you've been nominated for, you are a staple of this community. Finally, the stars have aligned. This is your role. Your nomination is your competition is weak.
Right.
Here you go.
Here you go.
Annie Get Your Gun was like, you're playing an iconic role. Parade closed, so we can't give it to Carolee Carmello. Here you go.
Right. Like, you're kind of iconic in the role, and the role is kind of iconic.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. If it had been Reba opening in it, it would have been like both it would have been a breakthrough star on the rise, and also you're iconic, the role's iconic.
That's so interesting. Yeah, because Annie Oakley's not like iconic in the way that like Mama Rose is iconic.
But she's got like 7 standards in that show.
I guess that's
she's got
true.
Doing What Comes Naturally, You Can't Get a Man with a Gun, I Got Lost in His Arms,
I just offended a bunch of
Moonlight
your
Lullaby.
listeners.
Yeah, I offend them every day. I offend my listeners every time I drop a new episode. But so with Malia, she was the ingenue breakthrough.
The ingenue breakthrough.
Yes,
Yep. That makes sense.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that's how that happened, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I wasn't thrilled with it either. I was happy about Keisha.
Yeah. Well, I think she falls into that category of what I've mentioned earlier. Just surprises, the reversals of fortune. I mean, she's been obviously working for a long time and all that. But, you know, and her speech, too, was so good. The speeches, I actually think, were pretty consistently good.
There were a couple
for most of the...
There were a couple in the pre-telecast that I was a little like, wrap it up. It's like when the 2 people won for lighting for Outsiders, I forget their names, but it was the older white guy and then the younger Asian lady.
Oh, but I liked her speech.
Her speech was lovely.
Was great.
What I'm saying, it was Brian McDevitt. It was Brian McDevitt and
I also wrote
something
David
Kim.
Zinn's mustache.
Oh, I know.
I love it.
His head looks like he belongs in The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. But
the thing I wrote about Hannah was that when she wasn't speaking, when the other...
I think it was Brian
McDevitt was speaking, she looked so visibly, like earnestly, visibly ill. Like, you know, I felt bad for her. And then, you know, so I was like, oh, how's that speech going to be? And then she started speaking, and it was one of those speeches where it's clearly nothing about it is planned except maybe for the people that she's going to thank. Everything else is just coming out of, you know, the reality and the truth of the moment. And I loved it. It was a perfect speech.
Her speech was lovely. It was Brian McDevitt just going on for so long. And we all sat there at the party I was at. We were like, Brian, you have one of these. Let her speak now. Stop talking.
That's right.
Because it wasn't even that he was talking on and on and on. Like, I say a lot really fast. He was saying 1 sentence a minute.
Yes.
Looking at his sheet.
Sure.
It was very much, and then I turned the corner. Next line. I walked down the street. Looks back at his paper. Across the street I saw. But he said something along the lines like, how often do you see this? How often do you get to do this?
I remember
and I'm sitting there going like, well, you've been in this industry for decades. I'm assuming often.
And you said that he's won the award before, right?
I'm pretty sure he's won the award before. Maybe I'm making that up, but I'm pretty sure he's won the award before. But I was like, this is her first Tony. Let her talk.
Yeah, let her do the majority of the talking.
Which he did eventually, but I was like, you don't
and luckily she had time for it. Like,
she did.
She was not played off.
They ended that telecast, and I think they ended it on the earlier side.
Yeah, they did.
Thank goodness.
I wrote that one of my notes that I wrote about her speech was that I bet she'll watch it back years from now and be embarrassed, but I don't think she has any reason to be embarrassed. I think it was just the perfect kind of speech.
Yeah. We should start going chronological with this telecast now, but
Okay.
before we do any of that, we got to take a quick break.
Really, I beg to differ with you.
How do you mean?
You're the top.
Yeah.
You're an arrow color. You're the top. You're a Coolidge dollar. You're the nimble tread of the feet of Fred Astaire.
And we're back. So the pre-telecast started on, I think, Paramount Plus. No, Pluto. Started on Pluto.
Pluto, yes.
Yes, at 6:30 sharp. And I know this because the host of our party kept trying to start it at 6:28, like just like kind of get the app running. And it wouldn't let him hit like a load button or a play button. And he kept freaking out. And I was like, I think you have to wait until it's exactly
literally 6:30 on the dot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the like, I think it was 10 seconds after it turned to 6:30. He finally was able to play it, and he was able to relax.
There were some technological issues apparently with the app, and people were struggling.
The sound designer for The Outsiders said "fuck," and
and
they just fully blacked it out.
And they just blacked it out. And I hope someone had their phone out or something that we can get some of that footage on an Instagram story or something.
I hope so. It would be great.
Full disclosure again, I didn't actually start watching until David Zinn won his award.
So
I watched before that.
I haven't ordered the winners. It was Suffs was the first one of the night, and it was Shayna for book. She gave a lovely speech and told everyone to register to vote. And then after that was Jaja's African hair braiding for costume design of a play, and I am thrilled. Yeah. My God, am I thrilled! There's discussion right now that part of that win comes from the wig design, and that there needs to be a campaign to start a wig and hair and makeup design, which I'm totally here for, because talk about a category where finally we could have nominated Heart of Rock and Roll.
Oh my God, those wigs were fantastic.
Best wigs in a musical this season.
Oh my God, so good. And
it's the same person that did Jaja's.
Not super
I'm pretty sure.
over the top, just like perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
In every way, and perfectly fit for the actor that that the wig was on. And yeah, I think hair and wig design, I think projections itself should be a thing now, and also casting directors. I think
we have now gotten to a point with projections in musicals and plays that they need to be a separate category.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, because
100%.
They're here to stay.
If it's literally a separate skill set, I think there should be a separate category.
I also want us to bring back music director, but that's difficult, I know.
Sure.
Well, I say this after.
Is that controversial? Is musical director controversial in any way?
Not controversial. I think it's if we can do with music direction what we now do with orchestrations and sound, which is it's not just everyone can vote for it. You have to be in that field to vote for it.
Sure.
Because I was talking to some voter friends of mine, and they were going through sort of some of their choices. And I remember asking them about orchestrations and sound, and they're like, oh, I don't get to vote for that because I'm not in that field.
Right.
But so...
Which is good. That's good.
Absolutely.
I like that.
But so I'm like, yeah, like have like 30 music directors vote on music direction. And because
would it be like would a slightly amended category maybe be like music team? Because I feel like there's so many people in that arena that do so much good and creative work,
like direction and arrangements together.
Arrangements and things like that.
I just say this after seeing Sweeney Todd when it opened, and then seeing it again 9 minutes into the run when Alex Lacamoire left, and I think it was Kristen Blodgett came in to take over.
Right.
And the tempos finally were close to what I wanted.
Oh, interesting. She's much more old school too.
Yeah. Well, she's Andrew Lloyd Webber gal. She's like fast and loose.
Yes, totally.
Because Alex, God bless him, he was conducting that score in March of 2023 with a very cautious hand.
Oh, interesting.
And I'm like, girl, it's Sweeney, let it rip.
Yeah.
And Kristen was like, I'm not gonna go up to the shoulder with my fisting, but we can get to like the forearm.
Such a vivid metaphor.
That's what. When I think of a conductor letting it rip, I think of them bringing that hand down as they start on the downbeat, and I'm like, okay, how far deep is that fist gonna go? And Kristen's like, we'll get to the elbow, maybe.
I did see that revival when Sutton and Aaron took over, and so I'm assuming she was conducting.
She was,
and the orchestra was it was magic.
It was magic. Yeah. Was Sutton doing footwork still when you saw it?
She did. She was doing the footwork.
Great.
Let's move on.
Once Upon a Mattress, here we come.
Let's move on.
Okay, so then it was Jaja's. It was Jaja's African hair braiding with costumes, which we're thrilled about. And then after that, it was Great Gatsby for costume design of a musical.
Oh, yes, Linda Cho.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Wonderful costume designer. I don't hate the costumes in Gatsby. I don't love them. Her job was obviously to sort of do a heightened version of that era with some glitter attached, because it's a big glitzy musical.
Sure.
And it falls in line with what the production is doing. She did her job.
Right. Meaning fitting into the context of all the other designs.
Yes, exactly. Right? Like they are all in the same world of Gatsby. Yeah. My issue, as I said before, is I am not on board with this production's vision for Gatsby.
Sure.
But all the design elements, same show, locked and loaded.
I am very curious about the other Gatsby that is in Boston right now.
The LaCusa Gatsby?
That's right. Although I guess depending on which Wild Party you love more,
technically speaking,
you can interchange LaCusa or Lipa, depending on which one.
One is on Broadway, one is not.
Well, okay, that's.
But
true.
But also.
Well, that's my question. Is I wonder, could there be space for the other Gatsby to transfer? Super curious about that.
You know what I would love is if they did it at like the Neil Simon or the Wilson, like literally around the corner from the Broadway.
I thought you were going to say something more subversive, like they should both be at the Broadway theater and alternate nights. Like that True West that happened with Philip Seymour Hoffman and
John C. Reilly.
Yeah, John C. Reilly.
Yeah, went back and forth. Yeah. And then just for poops and giggles, we'll I don't know, we'll have like Andrew Lippa do a Gatsby, throw in there, and like, oh my god, it's a throuple.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Open relationships, y'all.
All at the Broadway theater.
Next up, we have orchestrations, which went to Merrily We Roll Along.
Yes, right.
I had some folks who were not pleased with this win.
Oh, interesting.
I was happy to have Jonathan Tunick win because that speech was very sweet. And also, like, man's 87. Or 86, he's 86.
Legend.
Right? And did a lovely job. I think some people were miffed about it because his orchestrations for this Merrily are repurposing orchestrations he's done in the past.
Uh-huh.
Because he's been, like, Sondheim's go-to guy forever.
Yeah, right.
And so basically
pretty much every Sondheim musical post forum, maybe.
Yeah, Company was his first one.
Yeah.
The only one he didn't do, as far as I know, was Sunday, and I think that was because Playwrights was like, you must use Michael Starobin.
Gotcha.
Which I'm not mad about. Starobin's orchestrations for Sunday are awesome, but Tunick has pretty much been the go-to ever since. Tunick, for every major production of Merrily, has been the orchestrator on it, so he doesn't like redo anything insanely for this. Ultimately, it's okay, we have 13 pieces. Make it work for this.
Sure.
But I thought his orchestrations were lovely, and as I mentioned in a previous episode with the Theater Lovers, he made 13 pieces sound like 20, because there have been orchestras larger than Merrily's that sound way thinner, and they make this one sound
I feel like that's
fuller.
also his gift, generally speaking.
He's good at what
he's so good at what he does.
Yeah. I don't love his orchestrations for the 2018 Carousel, but like his assignment was to make it sound large and lush, which is what he did. It just, there was absolutely no nuance to it, but there was no nuance to that production, so it all was in the world, all in the same world.
That Carousel was controversial for me too. Yeah.
There's nothing controversial about it for me. I think it's garbage. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'll say it till I'm dead. That was a terrible production. Scott Rudin said, hey, let's approach Carousel like we approached Hello Dolly. That's like saying, let's approach Streetcar Named Desire like we approached Noises Off.
Oh, that's interesting. That's
one of these things is not like the other. One of these things.
This actually could be a decent segue, though, into one of the Lifetime Achievement Tonys.
Oh, George C. Wolfe and Jack O'Brien together?
O'Brien.
Yeah.
I thought Jack O'Brien's speech was
beautiful.
I wrote in my notes that, if I ever have a moment in the future where I'm feeling cynical about this business, I'm going to YouTube that speech because it was just beautiful.
Listen,
gorgeous.
Jack O'Brien and George C. Wolfe are absolute geniuses.
Yeah.
And
men of the theater, like gentlemen of the theater.
And so smart. So,
oh my gosh.
So
gifted.
Yeah.
And Jack O'Brien too. I mean, and actually both of them have such rich history in this art form in the beginning in the sort of latter half for Jack O'Brien, half of the 20th century.
Yeah.
And so their lineage, where they come from, the people that they worked with or started with, is just incredible.
Jack O'Brien worked with the acting company that Patti LuPone and Kevin Kline were in, like the inaugural. And I can't speak. The first acting company from Juilliard. Yeah. But when you think about all the things he's done, talk about versatile. The man has done Shakespeare, he's done musicals, he's done Tom Stoppard, Coast of Utopia, Henry IV, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, Full Monty, Hairspray, two Shakespearean actors, revival of Porgy and Bess from the 70s. Shucked, yeah. He did a nice job with Shucked. Basically, I view more that like Jack O'Brien had a period from, let's say, like 2016, 2015 to right before Shucked. Like, he had a bad spell. And Shucked was very fun. He's about to do the Patti LuPone, Mia Farrow play.
Right, the two-hander.
And if that's not good, I don't blame him. But, I mean, even George C. Wolfe has had duds. He did that On the Town that everyone has agreed was bad.
Yes,
but they've also done some incredible things, and they are.
Oh my God, George C. Wolfe's legacy. I mean, with Angel in America and
Jelly's Last Jam,
Colored Museum,
he's a brilliant writer. He's a brilliant director. He's a brilliant actor.
Yeah,
they
live and breathe this art form. I mean, and I know that George C. Wolfe has directed some films. I just rewatched Prada.
He's in it.
He's got the little cameo in it, and it just Yeah, they're theater beasts,
Well,
right?
So from what I understand, Meryl had just done Mother Courage in the Park,
Yes, which I saw.
And he directed, and Kushner did the adaptation of it. And she requested.
Janine Tesori wrote
the music.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
It was another
But,
stacked cast.
So two of my favorite things about her connection to George C. Wolfe, because George C. Wolfe was, I think, still the artistic director of The Public at that time. I believe he was leaving a year or two later. But she had done that Mother Courage, and then I think she did The Seagull right after that, or maybe it was before that.
No, The Seagull was before that.
Okay.
That was a couple years before.
Okay.
But George C. Wolfe didn't direct. The Seagull
was Mike Nichols.
Nichols
Well, so it's two separate stories I'm telling. But I know with Mother Courage, she did Mother Courage, and then I believe Devil Wears Prada was filmed right after that, because she personally requested George C. Wolfe to have a bit part in Prada. But a story,
and he's good at it. He's good in this tiny role.
Tiny little role. It's great. But when she was doing Seagull with Nichols, and like she and Nichols had a very loving collaboration.
Right.
But that Seagull was very famous for being this big event that ended up sort of being a dud. And the story I've been told was that they're rehearsing in the Delacorte, and George walks in to like observe, and Meryl on stage sees him and just shouts, "Oh, thank God, someone who's here who knows what they're doing."
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I just think Mike was out of his depth. Like, Mike Nichols, brilliant director that he was really not one for The Seagull. He was not one for The Country Girl, or even really Death of a Salesman. Like, he was better at truth in comedy than in like heavy classics.
Sure.
But he liked to, try things.
I buy that. I was about to say, maybe it was the size of that cast for The Seagull, but no. I mean, Death of a Salesman doesn't have a huge cast, and Country Girl I don't think had a huge cast either. No. Because there were so many different kinds of actors in that Seagull, and it was one of the first things that I ever saw moving up to New York. And, I was enthralled by it because there were so many movie stars in it. But you could definitely tell that everyone was in a slightly different play. And so how do you wrangle that as a director?
I mean, Lila couldn't do that for this current Uncle Vanya.
Oh, which I haven't seen again.
I think it's now closed. It's not good. Everyone is in a different show. I
love all those actors. I
have said it before. Up until their first preview, it was my most anticipated thing of the year.
Yes.
Those actors, Lila Neugebauer as the director, Heidi Schreck as the
I would
translator.
argue even more than, say, like Enemy of the People. Like, this was like, because of the stacked cast, because of the director involved, because of the title of the play, because of even where it was being done.
Lincoln Center, yeah.
It was like, okay, this is going to be the play of the season.
Yeah, everybody watch out. And then we did, and nothing came our way.
Yeah.
It's a shame. But so, yes, George and Jack, their acceptance speeches, both fantastic.
Loved them.
Audra introducing George, wonderful.
Coming out in that dress.
Absolutely.
Getting a standing ovation.
As rightfully she should.
Yes.
I'm so excited for what George C. Wolfe is going to do with Gypsy. Even if it doesn't totally work, it's going to be fascinating.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. There was an article in the Times.
Like, bare minimum, it's going to be a fascinating thing to experience and watch.
Yeah. An article in the Times, I forget the writer, but he's a black writer who does a lot of critical thinking on black art. And he talked about how he was very skeptical about this gypsy now that it's clear that it's not colorblind, that like this gypsy is intentionally a black Mama Rose. And now Louise is black and June is biracial. And he's like, it takes me out because of the historical stuff and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just sitting there going like, first of all, wait till you see it. And also, I guarantee you there's nothing that you're saying that George C. Wolfe hasn't thought about.
Right.
Whether you like the show or not, the man is a fucking genius, and he's thought of everything you've thought about 10 times.
And not just, exactly. Not just like ruminated, occasionally. Like, this is stuff that meticulous thought has been put into.
The man is obsessed with race in America. Yeah. That is his thing. And he doesn't do it in a way that panders. He doesn't do it in a way that makes you comfortable. There's a famous image from Jelly's Last Jam, because Jelly Roll Morton was a mixed race man who hated being black. He considered himself better than, and like had a lot of inner racism about it. And so that was a major theme of Jelly's Last Jam. And there was a number where the ensemble came out in bellhop attire with white painted lips, and it was an all black cast.
Right.
And the cast talked about how like it made them uncomfortable when they first had to do it. And George like didn't sit down with them like, let's talk about it. He's like, well, you're gonna do it, and eventually you're gonna realize why it's important.
Right.
And they're like, they're like, well, now we finally opened on Broadway, and like we've gotten our reviews and the Tonys and whatever, and they're like we get it. We get why we have to do it. I'm like, I'm okay doing it now, but like it took a second.
Yeah.
And he didn't hold our hands. He's like, you'll get there. You'll figure it out.
Sure. Yeah. These bold, thought through things that are not whims.
No,
right?
He's not doing it to be controversial. There's a reason for it. 100%. And also he's like, I don't want you to feel secure. We should never feel secure. Yeah. What good is that? And so, their awards were so well deserved. And their speeches were lovely. Next up, we have scenic design of a musical went to Cabaret. A lot of people feeling Here Lies Love got robbed, to which I'm like, I don't know why you thought that was going to happen.
Yeah.
It was
Unfortunately, it's the distance, right?
Very much the distance.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you have to be pragmatic.
It was a fantastic design, though. And not terribly unlike the conceit of Cabaret at the Kit Kat Club.
Yeah.
Because of the sort of immersive element of it, being surrounded by, and it immediately conjures up an experience rather than a musical or a play, or you're sitting in the theater and watching through this proscenium. That everything, you were surrounded by everything.
Yeah, I think with Cabaret at the Kit Kat Club, it went like 2 steps further because they do the lobby, they do other areas, right. they make you enter through a different part of the theater. So they really were like, oh, we're gonna push this. Right. So I think it was just more impressive, and also it's currently running.
Yes.
And even people who don't like this production acknowledge that the technical feat of what they accomplished is impressive.
And it is part of the experience, right? Because
absolutely.
I haven't seen it, but you can come to the theater super early to just be able to walk around the space, right?
Yeah. So. Let's say the show starts at 7, I believe the theater itself opens at like 5:30, maybe 5:45. I don't know, maybe I'm lying about that. I know in London you have timed entrances based on what tickets you purchased.
I see.
Yeah, but you enter through the alleyway on the right side of the theater where there's already neon lights and posters everywhere.
It's at the Imperial. Right?
No, it's at the August Wilson.
The August Wilson.
Yeah.
Right.
And you enter through House Right. And it takes you like a couple of minutes to realize, if you've been to that theater before, it takes you a couple of minutes to realize where you are.
Sure.
Which is the point. They want to, disorient you. And then, you can walk about and sort of see what everything looks like. And you can get drinks. They hand you schnapps.
And there's those art installations that were commissioned, right?
Yeah.
By the set designer.
They don't do this giant overhaul of the space. It's actually, for me as someone who knows that theater rather well, I was impressed by how clever it was. They didn't do a ton to the lobby. They didn't do a ton to the back of the theater. Mm-hmm. It was more like they would add little touches here and there, and they enhanced other elements of the theater's design already.
Got it.
That maybe you didn't notice or you didn't like before. So that was impressive to me. But I know people who are very much more Team Here Lies Love, and I would have been happy with either. But for me, it was just clear Cabaret was winning.
Sure.
Next up, we have set design of a play, which went to Stereophonic, which I thought it was going to be appropriate. I thought that tree was going to do it for them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But Stereophonic, I got to say,
right?
For what I understand, the tree actually is dropped in from the flies in the quick blackout. But the idea is that it grows in the house.
Grow.
Yeah. Yes, trees do grow.
Yes.
No, but the way they do that whole epilogue is how I thought that set was going to win. And I think it just ended up being the incredible detail of the Stereophonic set that got people voting for it.
I mean, the pictures alone, it looks amazing.
I'm going again in July with my grandma. She is 100 years old, and she was determined to see Stereophonic. I said, okay, let's hope.
Wow, why did she explain why? Why this particular play of all plays?
Because of the buzz around it already.
Okay, yeah.
Because my cousin and I went right before they opened, and both of us were like, that was pretty fantastic. And she takes my recommendation seriously. This is a woman who's been going to theater since she was like 4. And listen, she says things sometimes where I'm like, I don't know. That's not correct. Like, we saw the Hugh Jackman, Sutton Foster Music Man together.
She loved it?
She was like, that's one of the best things I've ever seen. I was like, I know some of the things you've seen.
Right.
I was like, you saw Gertrude Lawrence in Lady in the Dark. There's no way this is better than that. You saw the original Oklahoma, bitch. You saw a chorus line when it was at the Public. Like, this is not better than that.
That's the stuff that, like, if I could build a time machine and go back in time, like, it's stuff like that, before we knew Sweeney was Sweeney, before we knew
Yeah.
the ending of it, before we knew the twist at the end, or even Oklahoma, right? What was that experience like to be at the first preview of Oklahoma?
I've thought about this a lot, and my answer changes all the time. My current answer right now, of like, if you had one show time machine, I'd want to go to the opening night of Can because I want to experience that ovation that everyone talks about Gwen Verdon getting after she did like her really big ballet. She goes off stage and the audience wouldn't let
they wouldn't let it continue, right?
until she came out and took a bow.
Until she came
and she came out like in a towel, and everyone's chanting Verdon, Verdon. Like, what would that have been like?
That's a good one too.
That's an amazing one. That said, so we go see that Music Man. I think that was her first show post Broadway reopening,
and it was a big show.
It was
the pageantry of it, right?
Absolutely, it was a big, epic, musical entertainment. So I get it, and I enjoyed it. But I sort of let her say what she said, and then I was like, okay, we'll move on from this. But like, I took that girl to Fun Home. She loved it, and
Home. I love it.
Everything except for, she did not like Illinois, but everything else I've taken her to or sent her to, she has liked. Took her to Enemy of the People. She fucking loved it. And she regrets not seeing Kimberly Akimbo because she thought it was going to be too sad. And I kept telling her, it is sad, but it's like bittersweet sad.
Yeah.
It's not tragic. It's honestly much more optimistic than you realize.
Yes, it ends with some optimism, a healthy amount of optimism.
And they won all the Tonys, and I kept talking about it, and my dad told her it was good.
The performances are amazing.
She didn't end up going. She regrets it. So now she's like, if you tell me it's good, I will go.
Aww.
And I very offhandedly was like, yeah, Scott and I really loved Stereophonic. And she's like, I want to go. And then they got those she got those amazing reviews, and then they got all the Tony nominations. She's like, I want to go.
Yeah.
And I went, okay. I said,
and smart for getting the tickets before it won all the awards last night.
We got premium seats. It's on her dime, thank God. Because she's 100.
Always helps.
She's 100. She can't do steps. So it has to be orchestra, and it has to be together. She won't let me sit in another part of the theater, even if it means it might be less money.
Yeah.
She's like, no, you sit next to me. And I go, okay. And I go to the box office and I say, okay, what do we have for like premium in the orchestra for like this day in July? And they go, oh, well, this one's like, it's $279. I went, oh, I thought that was going to be like $400. And she goes, the box office attendant, God bless them, was like, well, not yet. Because this was,
they're honest.
Yeah, because I bought this on Friday, and I was like, oh yeah, like after Sunday, that's gonna. Because we both looked at each other like, we know you guys are gonna win a good number of awards. Like that's gonna go up a lot. And she was like, yeah, I can't sell that for $400 yet. I was like, no,
yeah, like I said, I'm hoping there's going to be a little bit of a lull in August, maybe, when there aren't as many tourists in the city. And stuff.
Labor Day. Labor Day's the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Stereophonic winning set design, that set is fantastic.
I hope you do an episode of what you're explaining or illustrating what your grandma thought of Stereophonic. I can't wait.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a post.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, we'll do a post Stereophonic episode. I don't think I can convince her to come on the podcast, but I can maybe get some recordings with her.
Oh yeah, like recordings of her, like
on my phone.
Her immediate response.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, she won't shut the fuck up about Enemy of the People. I'm like, girl, I was there with you. You don't have to tell me. I told you to go.
Well, and specifically with that set of Stereophonic too, my understanding is that the verisimilitude, right? It's so real. Like it's just you. This word that gets thrown around so much, but we used it earlier about being transported. Right? Yeah. It's so easy to be transported because of the meticulous design.
Absolutely, and the way that it's written and the way it's acted, you definitely feel like you are somewhere you're not supposed to be.
I can't wait.
Then we have choreography, which went to Illinois. Some people wrote in asking if I was surprised that it didn't go to Outsiders. No, I always knew it was going to be Illinois. This was a case of also, I do think the choreography in Illinois is overall lovely. It is also a case of most choreography winning.
Sure.
Outsiders was my second. I would say this was a solid category because it was Illinois, Outsiders, Water for Elephants, which are all three wonderful nominations. Here Lies Love, which was a fun nomination. I was so glad they got that.
Yes.
And then Hell's Kitchen, which has some good choreo, but it's over choreographed. Here's the first chapter, James, of me being mad at Alicia Keys.
Okay.
Strap in, y'all. So Alicia Keys, brilliant artist.
Yes.
Philanthropist.
Yes.
I'm
Broadway producer, too, at one point.
What else
she produced this play called Stick Fly.
Right, she did do that.
Back in the day. This was like maybe 15 years ago.
Because I was going to say, from every report I have gotten from people at these Tony events, first of all, I talked about how she sent a robocall to all the nominators being like, please consider Hell's Kitchen. And it worked for enough of them.
Yeah, clearly.
But that's something that a lot of shows do.
right, if there's like some sort of star, especially a star producer attached, right?
Although I don't think Angelina Jolie did that for Outsiders. I think she's very much more kind of on the sidelines as a producer for that show,
Sure.
which I appreciate. But with Alicia, they were like, go hard, and she did like a private concert for them and like all this stuff. Like she really campaigned hard, and part of me is like, use what you got. The other part of me that kind of gets a little ticked off is there was an event where she went on about how voters should vote for Camille Brown for choreography. First of all, the one thing voters don't like to be told is who they should be voting for. Just talk about why you love your company and your nominees.
Right.
Don't be like, here's why you should vote for them. Be like, say Camille is one of our great choreographers right now.
Yes.
She's a woman of color who is bringing her life experience to the stage in a way that we don't see very often. Think about her work in Choir Boy, her work in Once on This Island, her work on For Colored Girls. Like,
it's that thing of networking, but not showing that you're networking.
Exactly. Yeah. You just use the passion and talk about the long legacy of female choreographers and how many of them have what they brought to the industry but didn't get recognized. How Anna White did this brilliant work in the original Music Man and then like got a specialty Oscar for Oliver, rightfully so, but never won a Tony Award. Sure. Carol Haney, and like it really wasn't until we honored Agnes DeMille once, but that was kind of it for a while. It wasn't until really Stroman and Twyla Tharp and Kathleen Marshall were like, hey, honoring women, and we had a woman of color win for Moulin Rouge. That's not what Alicia Keys said. What Alicia Keys said was, you should all vote for Camille Brown because it's time that a woman of color won in this category, which erases the fact that a woman of color did win for Moulin Rouge. Granted, it was the COVID gas leak year, but it happened. It's on Wikipedia.
Right.
And it makes me mad. That was the first strike against her for me. I also don't like someone coming down from on high who is not a member of this community and telling us. I'm like, okay, Alicia, tell me 10 female choreographers right now. Do it. Right. Oh, you can't? Then don't tell me who to vote for.
Right.
Talk about what makes Camille's work so fantastic.
Yes.
You're also undermining her work as an artist by making it about her race and her gender.
Potentially by reducing it down to that.
Yeah. Oh, we should vote for her because of her gender, not because she's legitimately doing great work?
Yeah.
Because she is doing great work. Maybe not all the time in Hell's Kitchen, but like overall has done great
work. Well, her
work.
body of work.
For Colored Girls was beautiful.
God.
Once on This Island was so hot. Her work on Choir Boy was electric. And I'm like, girlfriend knows how to bring it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't vote for her for Hell's Kitchen because I thought half the time the choreography didn't work and was used in improper places.
I will say, if I were to just base off of the numbers from the awards last night, it was hard to focus, like to know where to focus in the Hell's Kitchen number.
Well, also there was terrible camera work the entire time.
That's also something that we should probably talk about.
We have mentions of that. People wrote in about it, but yes, we're going to do that.
Yeah, so it was hard, and there was a lot of movement. It was very frenetic. But
bodies were moving.
It was hard to discern like where my attention should go. Whereas with The Outsiders, what was interesting, by the time they got to that fight sequence, I was like, this is stunning. And it is reminiscent in a way of Justin Peck's choreography in Illinois because the storytelling is so clear from the movement that you could take out the sound, put it on mute, watch it, and you would be able to grasp something that's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. There is such a lack of focus in Hell's Kitchen just all the way around. And I think that this Tony performance is representative of that, or at least the first half is, because then we have the second half, which we will get to it. We will fucking get to it.
Okay.
Angry. Furious it made me. Flames. On the side of my face. Heaving breaths. But so... Camille...
We should invoke Madeline Kahn in every episode.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, Camille's work in general is so fantastic, which is why I was disappointed with Hell's Kitchen on her end, with everyone's end, because there would be times when I'm like, oh, this is so good. And then other times where I'm like, you are better than this.
Yeah.
You're smarter than this. You're more...
Again, if there were more time, perhaps. I mean, look, I don't know how long it's been in development. Maybe it's already been a long time. But maybe it falls into that category of what we were talking about earlier, that it needed a little bit more time in the oven to before it came to. Came to the Schubert.
The story I was told, because I had friends who were approached to invest in Hell's Kitchen for coming to Broadway, and they're like, "Well, what are you going to work on? After the reviews you got off Broadway, they weren't great." And the team was like, honestly, we were kind of surprised by those reviews and we don't agree with them. So we're going to do very minimal changes, which made me angry.
Oh,
and I thought that the critics were going to notice that nothing really got changed and get angry. That's not what happened. Elizabeth Finchatelli, Adam Feldman basically were like, oh my God, night and day. I'm like, they trimmed 5 minutes and we're on a larger stage. Nothing else has changed. So I got furious because like, your job is to notice this stuff and to talk about it. But ultimately they're like, oh, I got swept up in it. Which I guess you can't blame someone for, because when you're in the room, you feel the energy and it's easy to get swept up. I had friends at the Tonys last night who claimed that the Hell's Kitchen performance was the best of the night. And I'm like, maybe it was when you were in the room because you were at an Alicia Keys concert by the end of it.
Yeah, right. Which was pre-taped. The section where she comes out into the lobby
with Jay-Z. Yeah. Oh, Jay-Z was not waiting in that lobby for 2 hours to do that bit. He's
just sitting on those marble steps looking at his watch until his time is...
being like, Beyonce says I gotta be home by 8:30. Let's get this done. No. That they filmed that shit 2 months ago. And they went to the Tony producers and they said, we got this in the can and you're gonna let us do it. And the Tony producer said, by all means, Miss Keys, here is my butt. Would you like more plowing?
I didn't mind it. I actually liked it when she came out and then went to that pre-taped sequence. I didn't know it was pre-taped last night. I found out this morning.
Okay.
I read it in the Times. But I enjoyed it.
Well, then,
I really thought that perhaps that should have some version of that should have opened the show.
Well, we'll get to that opening number, but I'll just say, as a pre-warning, as we talk about that Hell's Kitchen performance, I did not care for it, and I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I'm glad someone did.
And anytime I can hear Shoshana Bean sing,
I'm not mad about Shoshana or Brandon or Keisha singing ever. Ever.
Yeah.
I would rather they do Keisha's Act 1 finale number. Granted, I have issues with that number as well, but she sells the absolute fuck out of it.
Yeah,
or
I've heard the recording.
Yeah, or just have Shoshana and Brandon do their whole
performance
kitchen table song, because those two have chemistry up the wazoo.
This begs another question, too, about how to decide what it is you're going to show from your musical that's been nominated, right? Because again, if the Tony Awards are something of commercial to try to entice more audiences to come see the show, it's like, what do you do? Do like one number, or do you do, as was pretty frequent last night, a sort of medley of numbers? And I don't know what the solution is. I mean, obviously there's no universal solution to it. But, I think back to, like, that revival of Into the Woods, not the most recent one, but the one that...
The Vanessa Williams one.
Yeah, the Vanessa Williams one. And, they tried to do, like, a 3-minute version of Into the Woods. Yeah. It was, like, Into the Woods Junior, but, like... but
it was the whole show.
Yeah, even more terrible. Yeah. And it just... I felt like it didn't show off very much of anything.
Well, the original Into the Woods did the exact same thing, and they also didn't show off the show very well. And they had pre-tape segments. We'll talk about that in a minute, because I have my opinions of what makes the best performances, or at least the most memorable ones.
Yeah.
Overall, I think medleys are wrong. There are very few medleys in Tony history that have worked for me. The best one, and it's a terrible example to give, but it's the original Annie, and it's because they had 10 minutes, which I don't endorse.
Right.
I don't endorse that for people, but like, you got all of Tomorrow, you got
Easy Street,
you got
too,
all Easy
right?
Street, you got all of Never Fully Dressed Without a Smile.
Yeah.
And historically speaking, how grateful am I that we have in completion those 3 numbers?
Oh, totally, especially with Dorothy Loudon.
Dorothy Loudon doing her performance is incredible, but also those fucking orphans with faces like brick roads doing the best vaudeville bump and grind choreography. Like that, Peter Gennaro's choreography in Annie is so fantastic, because it's not backflips or anything like that. It's just real people.
Yes, kids being kids.
Kids being kids.
Yeah. I think the Easy Street number is kind of like that too.
Absolutely.
It's not like crazy incredible choreography, but something about it, and the execution by like Dorothy Loudon especially.
And Rooster with his gummy body.
Sells it so hard.
Well, it's just like old school and gritty, but it has a razzmatazz to it. I
feel like
specific.
One other time in more recent history where a medley has worked, and I think it's partly because the songs themselves are relatively familiar for... just generally in like music vernacular was the 42nd Street opening that happened, at the early aughts, maybe in 2000, somewhere around there. And it was also the opening number. So it opened the show. So they did the very tail end of the 42nd Street Ballet. And then they did this thing where they go into the subway and they take the train to Radio City Music Hall. Radio City Music Hall? Sorry. Radio City Music Hall. And then they run onto the stage and they do We're in the Money.
Yeah.
And so, you get a flavor of the show, but it was also slightly unique because it opened the entire award ceremony.
Smokey Joe's Cafe did a very similar thing on Broadway where they went
right.
from their
they were
theater
outside,
to the Minn-Scott Theater. Yeah,
totally.
It was super fun.
So if it has a purpose even,
in
addition to showing off the show, I like that.
My favorite version of the medley is when you do a little bit of one song that then leads you directly into a full version of the next one. So the best example for me
it's like a 2080.
Yeah, exactly. The 91 Once on This Island, which is 40 seconds of Part of the Human Heart and goes right into Mama Will Provide. Yeah. And it has that little snippet of the reprise that T Moon sings in there. It's it is a performance that you would not see in the show as it is on the Tonys, but it is a full representation of it, and it's perfectly entwined with each other. They have the option up for LaShawn's doing Part of the Human Heart, bum 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 bum.
Yes,
going, and then it's so good. It's so good. That's my favorite version of a medley, where it's a little bit of one into the next and making it just so perfect.
And
so we got to got to keep going. We'll talk more about that in a second when we get to performances. So Illinois' choreography, very happy with that one. Outsiders for lighting design of a musical, thrilled. I was so happy.
I mean, even just from the Outsiders segment, you can tell.
Yeah,
the lighting design is not just design, but design that is integral to every other element of the show.
And I gotta say, there are some categories this year where it was just bangers all around, and they tended to be in the lesser known categories. All the ones that were not on the actual broadcast. Lighting design of a musical for me was a banger category because it was Illinois, it was The Outsiders, it was Water for Elephants, it was Cabaret, and it was Hell's Kitchen. And even with everything I've said about Hell's Kitchen, that lighting, super neat. Cabaret, fantastic lighting. Water for Elephants, beautiful lighting. Outsiders, hot lighting. Illinois, poetic lighting. All very different, all stunning. And I'm even though I don't like Hell's Kitchen, I wouldn't be mad if they won lighting because I wouldn't be mad about any of those 5 winning.
Yeah.
But Outsiders made me particularly happy. Appropriate one lighting design of a play, which I totally get. I thought it was going to be stereophonic because of the lighting shifts they do in the recording sessions, but Appropriate had some stellar atmospheric lighting, especially the opening of Act 2 when Elle Fanning is in the living room looking at photos by candlelight. It's like an oil painting. It's like a Renoir painting. No, not Renoir. Rembrandt. It's like a Rembrandt painting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that painting.
Like that chiaroscuro, right? Isn't that what it's called? The chiaroscuro, like where you see the gradations of the light, and that alone tells a story.
You know that painting that Ariel the mermaid touches in Part of Your World when she says, "What's a fire and why does it? What's the word burn?" Yes. Y'all know that painting I'm talking about?
I know
it's
that
painting. It's that painting.
I like that.
It's that. That's the lighting.
Good reference.
And
Universal reference.
I think that is a Rembrandt. I think that is a Rembrandt, by the way. Yeah.
Love it.
Think about it. Think about Ariel touching that painting. What's a fire and why does it? What's the word burn? It's that painting. Okay. Next up, we have sound design of a play, which is stereophonic, which we sat in the room as they were announcing the nominees, and I just went, this play was written to win this category.
Sure. Oh my gosh.
I think Ajani literally went, what could I write that would win the most random category of all time of the Tonys? Sound design of a play. I'm going to write something that totally wins this.
I mean, it must have to toggle between a lot of different kinds of design, right? I mean, there's the recording stuff that has to happen in the studio itself, right?
So you haven't seen it yet, right?
No, I haven't. Yeah.
Okay. All I'll say is this. There's a scene at the top of Act 1 that is a pure recording session. Mm-hmm. And you have Sarah Pigeon on the mic, unable to hit this note, and it's all you're hearing is her vocal. You're not hearing anything else.
Oh.
And then she and
that's so cool.
And she and Topasinka go off stage to have a conversation, but the sound guys in the sound booth, they turned the mic all the way up from the recording studio because the doors open so they can, if they turn the mic up a lot, they can pick up what they're saying.
Oh,
in
what
the
that
other room.
conversation is.
So
What's supposed to be a private conversation?
Yeah, and so you don't see them. You only hear them have the conversation.
But this is the part of the conceit of the whole play, right? It's that you're getting this like this
fly on the wall.
Yeah, fly on the wall for this experience that you would never have because we just get the albums, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that.
And then she comes back, sings it, nails it, and they play back her last take where she nails it with the music.
Oh my gosh!
And you're like, yeah.
When these design elements, look, I don't know anything about the craftsmanship of any of them, but when they can enhance, fit into, illuminate the dramaturgy, that's so exciting to me.
Yeah,
like when it can really genuinely enhance, whatever is already dictated on the page, and it just lifts it to a whole nother level. I love that.
1000%. Next up, we have sound design of a musical, which was The Outsiders, which again, super thrilled by. When I walked out of The Outsiders, I was like, that has to win sound design. They do certain things.
It's interesting when you become aware of it, just as an audience member, right, where it kind of stands out to you in some way.
And listen, if my grandma went to go see Outsiders, I don't think she'd walk out and go, I see why they won sound design. But I was there, and there were certain moments that they had where I went, that is a really impressive moment.
Yeah.
Especially,
and not in like a self-conscious way. I don't mean like, that's all you're thinking about, but just that, again, like there's an alignment with all of these design components with what the experience of that's happening on stage.
The bit of the rumble that they did show in their performance is a good example of how they won lighting and sound, but there are many moments like that in The Outsiders. So just know that there was no way you could walk out of it and not go, that's winning sound design. What do we have after that? I think after that was... I think that was the end of the pre-telecast awards.
Act 1.
Yes. And then we had our break, and then we had our opening number. James, who is our host this year?
Ariana DeBose.
Yes. I want to give credit where it's due. I had one person write in, and say, we are so lucky to have Ariana DeBose as a host. She's fantastic. She genuinely loves the community, and she's so talented. And I loved the opening number. Now, that is the only person who wrote that. I have a file of my screenshots of all the other people who wrote about it.
Are you going to read stuff that people wrote?
It's almost 30 of them.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
I didn't get a chance to do all of the categories, all of them. I read every single one, but I didn't categorize all of them. I have pre-telecast stuff, which is about 20. I have 15 submissions on Danya Taymor's win. I have 24 submissions on the Hell's Kitchen performance and Alicia Keys in general, and then I have 25 submissions on the Tony opening number and Ariana DeBose as host.
I love all these opinions. It makes me so happy.
This is the worst opening number I can remember. Utter crap. Please, 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 can we get a new host next year? Insufferable. Main ceremony just started, and I'm already missing the era of the Writers Guild strike. Ugh, already annoyed by Ariana, and that disappoints me. Bring on the performances. We've all collectively moved on from Ariana DeBose now, right? What the hell was that opening number? And then someone talked about, and why is Chasey only allowed in the lobby? Because he wasn't there. Ariana DeBose's ability to make...
This is also a person who didn't know it was pre-taped.
It's true, yeah. Ariana DeBose's ability to make everything about her is truly impressive. That is true. During the Cheetah Rivera segment, she goes, I literally wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for Cheetah Rivera. And I go, don't make me regret Cheetah Rivera's life. Ariana, you don't get to make me go, oh, if only Cheetah Rivera didn't live. That's not okay.
I think if you have the memory of certain hosts in your mind, like you grew up watching certain hosts, it is such a high bar, genuinely high bar. So I think back on like when Rosie O'Donnell hosted, and it was the year that Patty, Jennifer Holliday, and Betty Buckley did that, and there was this revolving set thing that had the original ad designs from the shows that they are all originated, and then at some point all four of them came down and sang together to like have a big finish. There's several of the Neil Patrick Harris years where just the numbers are so well executed, and they genuinely adhere to the thesis of we're celebrating you all tonight.
Yeah.
Theater goers, theater makers, we're here to show the rest of this country what it is that happens, within these like 20 blocks in New York City.
I miss the opening numbers that genuinely incorporated all the shows.
Yeah, I love that.
I don't think we're going to have a better opening number since Neil Patrick Harris is Bigger, when they went from the Beacon back to Radio City Music Hall.
Every show, not just the ones that were nominated, but every single show on Broadway that year, right?
And I mentioned
like
this
Mamma Mia.
I mentioned this with Isla Mel as well. It's worth it just for the shot of Deborah Messing alone at the end, looking around going, oh my God.
Yes.
But it was so, because it started with him doing Once, but then incorporated Matilda and Kinky Boots and Pippin and everything.
So all the shows of that season, the new musicals got showcased.
Yeah, but
then
also,
like Spider-Man came out.
Yeah, a bunch of shows
and Chicago came out.
A bunch of shows that were just on Broadway.
Yeah,
I would love it if we could do that, but it also include the plays. But
sure,
people are we're still trying to figure out how to incorporate the plays.
Yes.
But I think
After
we can
all these decades.
I know, but we had it closer to right in the late 80s, early 90s, and I wish we would go back to those eras and figure it out again that way. Get people excited about those categories. Get people excited about design. I miss 2000 and 2001, I think, had montages of the design nominees showing you the costumes and the lighting and the sets, the score. They had a thing about score. It's the
so there's like an educational component to
a little bit, but it doesn't feel educational. You just feel like you're in the room watching these people do their thing, and you're getting snippets of these shows in their actual theaters, and it's being filmed gorgeously. That's the year of the Lacusa Wild Party and the Kiss Me Kate with Stokes and Maren Maisie and Contact. I'm like, just even if it's a 5-minute montage and they have interviews with people, just do it. I don't fucking care. I don't need all these bits. I don't need a 7.5 minute Hell's Kitchen performance. Give me 4 extra minutes and show me what makes set design so cool.
Right.
Show me why sound design is important. Right. Actually, you know what? The opening number showed us why sound design is important, because you could barely hear what Ariana DeBose sang.
We couldn't really understand.
You couldn't understand. Something about crashing on couches and now you're here. Something like that.
And the thing is, whatever your listeners who wrote in what they think of that performance, I think the thing that a lot of us can agree on is just that it didn't feel for us. It didn't feel like it was for the theater makers or for the audiences. It felt oddly muted in a lot of ways.
It was gaslighting, because the lyrics were about like, it's about you tonight and you came so far. The opening shot was a press clipping of Ariana DeBose is back as the host 3 times in a row. I'm like, I'm sorry, ma'am. Do you think that you're Whoopi Goldberg and that this is actual headline news? It was headline news for Playbill for a day, Deadline for a minute, and then New York Times for like the lower corner. And like, I think she's an incredibly talented individual.
Definitely.
That's
no question.
And I have been on record to say I would have voted for her for Summer over Lindsay Mendes for Carousel. And I hated Summer, but I watched Ariana DeBose on her tiny lesbian shoulders carry that thing for an hour and 45 minutes. My lord. And that's a show that had LaShawns in it, who I love, but Ariana DeBose was the reason I walked out of the theater not burning the lump on tan down to the ground.
I missed Summer. I didn't see it at all.
Have you seen a
jukebox? Maybe I'll bootleg it once.
Go for it. Have you seen any jukebox musical, James? Any
Hard to Rock and Roll.
A bio jukebox musical, though?
Oh no, I think I missed.
Okay.
Well, I generally bypass them for whatever reason.
Well, there are 2 trends that you'll find in them usually. If it's a bio jukebox musical about a man, he comes to find that fame and fortune is taking him away from the things that are important in life, like family and his kids. And either he gets back to it, or he realizes it's too late because one of his kids commits suicide, like Jersey Boys or Ain't Too Proud. And then
does Beautiful Noise touch on all that?
Sort of, yeah. Without the suicide, but yes, it definitely is like, hey, Neil Diamond, your family's important too. They try to have the twist on it because of his health and whatnot, but it's very much like.
What about the ladies?
Also, here's, if it's a woman, is post Beautiful. The trend with female-centered bio jukebox musicals are, our leading lady doesn't really have any flaws. She chooses the wrong romantic partner for a while, but don't worry, she's going to dump him before the curtain comes down. Tina, Summer, Beautiful, Cher Show. Okay. Oh yeah, she dumps Sonny before he goes and dies on that slope.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel kind of bad. I feel like I should be more well versed in these biomusicals, jukebox musicals, just because they're on Broadway. But I somehow seem to miss them all.
To quote Debbie Reynolds in Singing in the Rain, if you've seen one, you've seen them all. Sometimes they surprise you. Like Jersey Boys was genuinely fantastic.
I did see Jersey Boys.
Yes. That Jersey Boys
with the original cast too.
So did I.
Yeah.
Jersey Boys was genuinely exciting and fun. And also it's because the Four Seasons were honest with the material that they gave the book writers, because no one knew that show was going to go anywhere. And so they were just like telling all of their versions of the story,
yes,
and so like actual drama and character flaws
and tension, and
those four seasons, they all kind of suck at different points.
Yeah, right.
Some of them for many points,
right. Super flawed,
and makes it so compelling to watch. Beautiful has a lot of things going for it, but it is very much like Carole King doesn't really have flaws. She just doesn't have a lot of confidence, and she marries a very flawed man who brings her down for a while. But eventually they divorce, and she becomes a superstar in the last 20 minutes. And then all
the lesson is like cut out the dead weight, and you can become a star. Got it.
Exactly.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. But he did bring her some music. He brought her some nice words. But post Beautiful, it's become this is a way for your brand and your catalog to make a whole bunch of new money.
Right. And there's a lot of vanity involved, right?
Well, because the estates of those artists produce the shows now. So you can't, like, Ain't Too Proud, the only Temptation who comes off well is the one who's still alive,
right?
Whose memoir is the one they used for the source of their book. It's why I'm not excited about any bio jukebox musicals anymore, because the estates produce
Motown. I saw Motown.
Oh, sure.
That's a bio musical.
The one that Berry Gordy produced and wants you to believe that he was actually the good guy?
Yes, right.
Sure.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's not very far off from the narrative.
John Mulaney was more accurate with Berry Gordy's legacy in 10 seconds of a stand-up than that entire show Motown was.
Yeah, that's so funny.
You're going to pay me a whole 75 cents for my song, Mr. Gordy? Wow, where do I sign? Like, that is John Mulaney's joke, and Motown wouldn't even touch that joke with a 30-foot pole. So Ariana did her number, and no one liked it. Then we go right into leading actor in a play, which went to Jeremy Strong. Surprising, not me, but many a person.
Really?
There was a lot of talk about Pearly Victorious, about how that was going to go, right. Especially since the PBS broadcast came out.
And Leslie Odom Jr. was fantastic in that role.
He was wonderful. He was my second choice. And I think Pearly was the first genuine delight of the season. So there was a lot of love for it. It's sort of like...
I loved it. It was really, really so well done.
My only issue with Pearly is that I don't find Kenny Leon to be the most inventive director in terms of staging, and that is a farce. So there were some stage pictures where you needed clever comedic staging.
Sure.
That is not what Kenny do. What Kenny does is he tends to cast really well.
Yes.
Not always, but often cast really well, and then trust
this was cast, I thought, very
exceptionally well.
Yeah.
And then trust his actors to explore and then
figure it out.
And he tightens the reins from there.
Yeah.
But for a lot of Pearly, that was what happened. But there were moments.
The set could have been different? I mean, because if we're talking about farce, right?
Yeah.
If we're talking about a certain kind of comedy, would some sort of difference in the set could potentially have been a factor as far as the staging is concerned?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a funny set,
right.
But it did have that beautiful reveal of the church at the end. So
yes.
we take it or we give it. But there was a lot of talk of, like, could Pearly come in and really do well, especially with Leslie and Cara and Revival. And I really thought that Cara was their best shot at anything. And it was down to her and Sarah Pigeon. And I've been on record on this podcast to say that, like, every other day I changed my mind. I was like, on Monday, I said it was Cara. On Tuesday, I thought it was Sarah.
Which just means embarrassment of riches, right?
Absolutely.
Because it's just like you're choosing between A+ and A+.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have been mad about either of them. Yeah. Ultimately, I think it was like 10 minutes before they announced that category, I decided it was Cara, because I said to myself, it's a way to honor Pearly Victorious if they're not going to give it Revival. And that's also what I feel about Jeremy with Enemy of the People. A very successful Revival, critically praised, huge hit.
Yeah.
I loved it. But they weren't going to win Revival. It was going to go to Appropriate. So it's like, well, we can give it to Jeremy because he's the face of this thing, and he's kind of the reason why it's a financial success.
Sure.
Amy Herzog and Sam Gold.
Also, he's a really good actor. I haven't seen Enemy of the People, but
he was great in it. I love it. And everyone was great in Enemy of the People.
He's a good actor.
He was great in it, and I know he's annoying, but like he's.
I know he's a very serious actor.
Yeah, no, he did
very
great.
Talented, very skilled.
But yeah, Jeremy wins, and then Will Brill won for featured actor in a play, and I think I picked him in the predictions with the theater lovers because I said of all the performances in that category, his was like a true representation of a featured performance. He comes on every now and then, just pees all over the stage and makes you remember and love him, and then goes. Yeah, but then comes back and then he goes.
Yeah.
Eli Gelb,
because there were two other actors from Stereophonic
Eli Gelb, whose character is very much sort of like in the peripheral for the first half, but then becomes the center in the second half.
Okay,
and I felt that could have been a problem for voters with him because you might walk out of that show thinking of him as the lead, which would be incorrect. But because of how the last hour and a half goes, and he's very much the center of it.
Oh, interesting.
You could think that. And then Tapasinka is fantastic, and I'm so glad he won, that he got nominated because I thought his character was such a douche that it would be difficult for people to nominate him. I think it's ultimately that character is such a prick, people wouldn't vote for him. But he nails the assignment.
It's such a reminder that like, you know, these are all human beings that make these decisions in terms of nominations and votes.
Yeah.
And they all have, we all have our biases, and we all have our weird hang-ups about things that explain why we like things and why we like certain things and then why we don't like certain things.
It's why no one's ever nominated Ellen in Miss Saigon for anything. For anything.
No matter what song she sings.
No matter what that
after Kim leaves. Yeah. No matter what song that they put in there, whatever version of...
It doesn't matter. Nobody wants it. Nobody cares. Yeah. I nominate her for biggest fucking dummy of the world. As I said in our last episode.
We should campaign for that award. For that Tony Award. Biggest dummy character. Most outstanding dummy character in a musical or a play.
Yeah. I think that'll be a new category for my categories that don't exist. And it'll be presented by Ellen in Miss Saigon. My husband has PTSD. He wakes up in the middle of the night screaming some other woman's name, but we're okay.
For
2 years.
Years.
For years, yeah. But we're on good grounds. Yeah, we're totally on good grounds. Oh, he completely lied to me about what happened in Vietnam. It's okay. We're on good grounds. We're fine. We're totally great. It's going to be amazing. Let
me sing a song about it now.
Let me sing a song about how everything's different now that I've seen the face of the woman my husband loved before me. Yes. It's okay. It's all good. It's all fine. It's all fine. That's why it's Kim's chess move, because she's like, it's not fine. And with one thing, I'm going to make your entire house of cards fall down and your life is over, bitch.
Okay, wait. Okay, go.
Sorry, moving on.
Back to Will Brill. Wonderful actor.
Yeah. And he's so fucking good in it.
Talk about range. Again, I haven't seen Stereophonic, so I can't wait to see it. But he plays Roy Cohn in Fellow Travelers, and he is terrifying, frightening.
Oh, I'll bet. I saw
such
him,
a good actor.
Such a good actor, and he's fantastic in Stereophonic. They all are. He's got a whole monologue about houseboats that just has everyone in the palm of his hand. Then we have Kara Young for featured actress in a play. Thrilled. She gave a wonderful speech. Looked like money. She looked like money.
Oh my god, the dress. She looked like royalty. Gave an amazing speech. Her father was sitting right next to her. And that story about her dad, what was it, last year when they were all in the Rainbow Room? And doesn't her dad work in the Rainbow Room? And so it was this thing of like, this amazing moment of, I don't know, a lot of things coming together all at once.
Absolutely. Somebody wrote in the messages for me, his heart stopped beating, didn't it? Which is one of my favorite moments in a show this year, is when she comes in to sign the deed. Right. And first of all, can't walk in the heels.
Yes,
love it.
Yes.
And she's trying to talk about the family member who died. Yeah. And she's like, died of a heart attack. He was shot. His heart stopped beating, didn't it? It's so good. Great line.
Also context with her. I mean, this is her third consecutive nomination
in this category, every year.
I mean, come on.
For very different roles. Like, she's proven her versatility. I'm looking forward to seeing what she does next. She's quickly becoming an actress for me. I'm like, I will see anything you do now, because it's
oh my gosh,
it's going to be worth it.
I wholeheartely agree.
Yeah. Then Stereophonic won direction of a play, which makes sense. This was another category for me where I was like, there's not a bum to be found. Would I have personally put in Sam Gold for Enemy of the People over Kenny Leon for Pearly Victorious? Yes. Am I mad Kenny Leon is in there? No.
Right.
Like, I have my one caveat with his direction with Pearly. Overall, wonderful work. Because then we also have Whitney White for Jaja's African hair braiding. Fucking delightful. Lila Neugebauer for Appropriate. Wonderful. We have Ann Kaufman for Mary Jane. Wonderful.
Yeah.
And we have fucking Daniel Ocken for Stereophonic. Amazing. Like,
Yeah.
all of them. I'm like, can we all just sit around and drink together? Because I love this group.
Yeah.
You're all my new best friends. We're going to Aspen tomorrow.
I mean, smart points of view, but also like the ability to manage all the basic things as a director, right? I mean, what is staging, even, you know, what is casting even, right?
Yeah.
So just all around multi-skilled folks.
And then Alicia Keys came in and she said, you should vote for Camille A. Brown in this category. And I said, she's not nominated, Alicia. What? And Alicia said, it's okay. I've got Jay-Z in the lobby waiting for me. So let's talk about that Hell's Kitchen performance. First major performance of the night.
Yeah.
90 minutes long.
I guess it felt... Yeah, maybe it felt a little bit longer than it actually was.
There was the first half of the performance, which started with the opening number and then going straight into Keisha Lewis. Went into Shoshana and Brandon Victor Dixon. No.
I think it went to Keisha Lewis first.
Went to Keisha Lewis and then Shoshana and Brandon Victor Dixon.
And then Alicia came out, right?
Well, because then there was like the button and then Alicia came out.
Yes.
So when the button happened, we all looked at each other and I said, I call that performance everything but the Hell's Kitchen sink. Because it was just everything. It was
the buckets. It was
the kind of medley I hate, because they were like, let's just completely throw everything on stage.
And there was scaffolding, right? So there were dancers at different levels too. So there was a lot.
As you said, didn't know where to look.
Yeah.
Messy. Then Alicia comes out and adds another 4.5 minutes to the performance by singing Empire State of Mind, which is how the show also ends, which I think is a total cop-out, similar from the New York playbook of, hey,
we've been waiting for this song all night kind of thing.
You have been tepid all night long. We know that there have been a million plot points and no conclusions and no character development and nothing makes sense.
So here's a bone.
But here is a New York anthem to take you out into the streets on, so you go on a big high. It's like going on a terribly awkward first date, but the sex is great and you go, oh my god, I think I like him.
Isn't there that line in Gypsy, if you give them a good finale, they'll forgive anything, or something like that?
I don't think that's in Gypsy, but it's in something. Actually, fun fact, I know that I read an interview with Andrew Reynolds where he talked about this with Jack O'Brien from being in Hairspray, because Jack O'Brien would come in every now and then to sort of clean up and give notes. And I think Andrew was Link, or he was the Link understudy. And Jack was basically giving a note about, because by that point Hairspray was like 5 years into the run, so they weren't getting the cream of the crop to sit in the audience every night. And Jack was like, if the show is going only okay, he's like, do not stress, don't push, like just keep going for it. He goes, give your all at the end, because that You Can't Stop the Beat is custom made to send them out on a high.
Sure.
And if you give that your all, they will walk out happy.
Yeah.
He's like, so if they don't jump to their feet after Good Morning Baltimore, don't panic.
Yeah.
If they're not screaming at the end of Welcome to the 60s, don't panic. Like, just steady the train.
That's wise advice, because also that song, that finale is designed,
it's foolproof. And he's like, as long as you really pummel that finale, you're fine.
Yeah.
And that is what New York did. That is what Hell's Kitchen does. And I sat there knowing what they were doing. And I was like, I'm not buying. I know. I know everyone around.
Fall for your trickery.
I walked out of New York. It was right before they opened. I walked out of New York. And someone who is a pretty discerning person, but granted, they were like semi-connected to the production, texted me on Instagram and was like, I think the show's going to run for 10 years because it's like such a love letter to the city. And I said, okay, blank. I'm going to let you have that. And then we'll talk again in June. And they closed that July. Hell's Kitchen, it's going to run a little bit longer. It's doing very well right now.
It's selling pretty well. Right?
But I have not spoken to a single person who has been fulfilled by it. So I think it's selling right now. I think eventually, same thing with Back to the Future, like word of mouth will catch up and it won't be the exciting new thing on the block. It didn't win the Tonys they wanted to win.
Right.
And people will just realize, oh, no, the show isn't exciting. It just ends on the anthem that we know.
That we all love and
know.
Yeah.
And of course, Alicia comes out with her millions of fans singing going and getting the entire audience to their feet. That one white dude who I'm pretty sure is a producer of the show. Literally, there's a shot of him getting up and being like, "Come on, get up!" And I'm like, "Go fuck yourself. I'll stand if I choose to." It is America, and this is Pride Month, and I'm an American homosexual. You do not tell me, Mr. Sir, when I stand up. I will stand for the queens that I have, not for your queen.
Amen.
Thank you. I stood for Audra. I will not stand for you.
And Stokes got a standing ovation.
Oh, did he?
Too. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, so that's the Hell's Kitchen performance. So I don't remember. I also don't remember exactly the order of all the performances. I just know it was Hell's Kitchen, and then I think it was Illinois, or was it Merrily? I can't recall.
Yeah, I can't remember either. I always love a cute little exit cam. I like that they had the exit cam off to the side. So you can see all the performers run off. I enjoyed that.
I'm going to go to the CBS YouTube channel and see in what order do they have
Wait, did you say Illinois was next?
I think Illinois was next.
Yeah, I think you might be right about that.
So let me confirm. First of all, we have Daniel Auken winning for direction of a play, which is wonderful.
Yes.
We have Carrie Young, Will Brill.
Yep.
No, Tommy was next. Tommy was the next performance. What did you think of Tommy? Did you see Tommy on the Broadway?
So the original production was the second Broadway show that I ever saw.
Yeah, well, you're famously 49.
It was at the St. James Theater. Notice I'm just glossing over that. I'm not even acknowledging that you said that. It was at the St. James. I was in like the last row of because there's two balconies, right?
It's the mezz and the balcony.
Yeah. I was in the last row of the balcony, and I still have these vivid memories of it because the design was strikingly good. And they actually had a pinball machine. Like you could make out, and it was like, and it was so colorful and like sort of explosively so, right? Like just it grabbed all like it sort of attacked all the senses in the best way. So I've been hesitant to see this revival. I didn't love the number from last night, but I'm wondering if it's mostly because of the camera work.
So let's just say it now. The camera work last night was awful. There were two numbers where I thought it kind of worked.
It was very confusing.
Yeah. There were only two numbers last night where I thought it kind of worked. Not fully, just kind of. One was Illinois, and the other was The Outsiders. I think that The Outsiders was...
I thought the cabaret stuff was pretty good.
It was very...
Maybe they paid more money to be able to get some more variety of shots.
It was very close up on Eddie, which is a mistake.
Well, he is a film actor.
You wouldn't know it from last night. And I like him. I like him as an actor. Do not like his performance in Cabaret.
Very controversial, right? In this production, the Illinois number. I mean, maybe we're jumping ahead, but I actually loved the fact that there were some close-ups, the occasional close-up, because I sat relatively far away when I saw it, and just to be able to read their faces a little bit more was just so affecting.
It shows you that dancers are actors, or can be anyway, in the same way that like singers can be actors.
The best dancers.
Yeah. Like, and actors, Illinois has some great dancing actors, acting dancers. Like you watch Ricky Ubeda's face in that number, and you're like, should have been nominated. We all know you should have been, and this is just proving it. And we'll get to that in a second. But Tommy, the performance for me is kind of indicative of what the show is at the Nederlander. It is a lot of energy. The ensemble doing the Lord's work, very well sung. I did not get to see the original production. I've watched it, but not live. And
I think it's also a lot of the designers are different, and
it's a new design team, but it's the same director
and different choreographer.
Yes, different. It's a very
Wayne Salento directed the original.
Wayne Salento choreographed the original.
Correct, choreographed. Yes.
Des McAnuff.
Yes.
This one is Lauren Lataro, and I'll say I hate her choreography in this Tommy. It's just
so
and you
unfortunate,
but you can see it in the performance. It's everything all at once, all the time.
Yeah.
It's 11 out of 10 energy. There's no build to anything. There's no character to anything. There's no style. There's no era to it. Wayne Salento's choreography in the original, you can watch it like it's great, but it's not like bam, 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 or at least not all the time. There's weird jerky things to it, and it builds. And Wayne is not one of our greatest choreographers of all time. He has proven that since Tommy with shit like that garbage Sweet Charity choreography he had. But listen,
well, I mean, he doesn't ever have to work again because
with
he's
Wicked,
making money off Wicked all the time, right?
But like, look at his choreography for Brotherhood of Man from the Matthew Broderick How to Succeed. Like, that's fantastic.
Oh, that's a great number.
It's a great number, and there's nothing that impressive about what they're doing. It's just built from character and story.
Yes,
there's nothing like that in this current Tommy. It's just like toss, throw, slide all the time.
And I think, and look, I was not discerning enough to really be able to tell this kind of thing when I saw it in high school, but I do think that and thinking back to these memories that I have from long ago, I do feel like everything about it was much more cohesive, designed to choreography, to direction. And, interestingly enough, there were, because maybe projection technology wasn't what it is now, there was still a lot more reliance on practical effects and practical kind of lighting effects and things like that. And there was aerial work in it. Like Tommy makes an entrance flying in. Yeah. And I still remember this moment, in the second act, this pinball machine comes out from the center of the floor of the St. James Theater, the stage, and he's riding it. It's like a bucking bronco kind of thing.
Yeah, you can watch footage of it on YouTube.
And then these giant flames come up from the side of the stage. And I still remember feeling it all the way up in the last row of the balcony. And I just have these very sacred memories of that experience. And so I've been hesitant to
You're
see
not
this
alone.
revival.
Listen, everyone I know who have seen this Tommy, who saw the original, like where that original was really seminal to them, they have not been thrilled with this production. The people I know who've been thrilled with this production have either not really been familiar with Tommy or really are like in love with the album.
Right.
Maybe even the movie, but not necessarily the stage show. Those who are in love with the stage show and that original production have not been thrilled with this. And I talked about this when I did my rankings as well. Like, from everything I've watched both on YouTube and then at the library and all the photos of this original Tommy, like, it was very bold and colorful and used pop art as its really main inspiration.
Yes, right.
This one, it's you can see it on the telecast. Like, their color scheme is basically black, white, gray, and then dehydrated piss yellow. I don't know why that has been decided as like the popping color. Right. Why they chose that, I don't know. The
other thing that
it's not exciting. It's not cool.
Bizarre. No, I don't know if bizarre is the right word, but seeing some of the design elements, the physical design elements in the number last night. So the pinball machines are these sort of like frames.
Yeah,
and I just thought
it's all implication.
Why? What is that? Why? It just created more questions.
Well, I'm sure the desk could come out and explain it, and you'd be like, oh, okay, sure, I get it now. But like, the majority of,
I mean, he's a very smart director, and he's done a lot of his stuff that I've loved.
He's done some great stuff. I have not been thrilled with him probably since Jersey Boys, but he has. But like,
fair. That revival of How to Succeed. I saw it at the Kennedy Center. I mean, it was
good.
And he used design in a way that we've talked about earlier, where it really it becomes a part of the dramaturgy.
Absolutely. And let's talk about another time where Vicky Clark just comes in and has like,
oh my God,
10 minutes and just does the thing. To quote Miss DeBose, Victoria Clark did the thing. But
that was a good joke she had last night about that.
Oh, about the 3-hour musical
idea about her.
Sure.
I welcomed that joke.
I'm welcoming of her owning it and making it a bit now. I am not here for the people who claim it was always meant to be camp. No, she thought she was serving at the BAFTAs, and then the response was such that she had a choice. She could, hold her ground and say, I worked really hard and you're all being mean, or she could lean in. She's a smart girl. It's why she's gotten this far. So she leaned in, and I'm always going to applaud that. Especially you're going to fuck up. We're all going to fuck up. We're going to make a big choice. It's not going to work.
Especially if I'm hosting every award show.
At
some point,
the entire creative team of Lempicka could take a note from Ariana DeBose, because they wrote a 2.5-hour Angela Bassett did the thing, and rather than go, you know what, that's what we did. I hope you like it. If not, whatever. No, instead they went, we wrote Casablanca the musical. We wrote Porgy and Bess. We wrote The Nutcracker. How dare you not recognize our brilliance?
Oh, and you're right. Why don't you see it?
Why? Not only why don't you see it, but you're problematic. And if you don't see it, well, this wasn't for you.
Right.
Don't be exclusive. Broadway's for everyone. And people can not like it. And if they give you a good reason for not liking it, maybe hold on to it for a second. It'll make you better down the road. If you wake up every day thinking you're fully formed, you can kindly fuck all the way off. I'm not fully formed.
I like that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James is going to say things to me off mic that's going to make me break down tonight, and then I'll get better tomorrow.
Thinking of those things now.
But yeah, Tommy. That was Tommy. What else we have?
He has an interesting voice too. I will say that.
Yeah.
The lead, the actor playing Tommy.
It's not rock. It's like very classic musical theater. It's a very rich baritone
and I
sound.
liked it. I liked the quality of it.
Oh yeah. I think what makes it disconcerting is he's got such a boyish look.
Oh yes, he does. Very handsome.
Yeah, but when you look like the kid from Heartstopper and you sound like Patrick Wilson, it's very like, what's going
funny.
on? Joe Locke. That's who it is.
It's
Joe
an
Locke.
interesting
Yeah.
juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Yes.
Keisha Lewis then wins
my
featured
God.
actress in a musical.
Great speech.
Great speech.
Great speech.
Everyone was texting her. We loved
Yes,
it. And
yes.
I
and
even,
don't give up. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Anything like that, I'll take. Whenever it's an actor, and especially her context, right?
Yeah.
She's been in this business for what she said, 40 years. From stories that other people that I know that have worked with her have told me, there's been a lot of ups, a lot of downs.
Yeah.
And here is this amazing, other chapter that we witnessed last night.
Absolutely. Listen, she hasn't been a saint. None of us have. But she's been around forever. She's given us more than you realize. She's the original Asaka in Once on This Island. I know we all know Lily is White from the Tony performance, but it's Keisha on the cast album.
Right.
And so this was one where somebody wrote in and said that Keisha won because Hell's Kitchen is an open-ended run and Merrily closes in July, and that's why Lindsay didn't win. And they also said that that's the reason why Danya won director and why Maria Friedman didn't. And this is a moment where I'm going to say, if you're a listener of this podcast and you wrote that, I'm so sorry for what I'm about to say. That is a dumb opinion because it has no basis in anything other than the fact that you're mad Maria and Lindsay didn't win.
Right.
There are other reasons for it. The bottom line of all of it is enough voters just liked Keisha more. They liked her performance more. And I don't know if this person has seen all of these performances and all these musicals. I will say, when I saw Hell's Kitchen at the Public and I was not enjoying myself, Keisha came on stage and I went, this woman knows what she's doing. And I want more of this energy the entire time.
Right.
And I felt that again on Broadway. Lindsay, I enjoyed her in Merrily. I actually liked her understudy more. But I enjoy Lindsay.
Also, Lindsay's very talented. I gotta say.
But there's
Super
you also can't deny when someone's won before and someone hasn't, especially with Keisha's narrative of being around and the moment is her right now. Why wouldn't you want to vote for her?
And also even things like something you just described about like the context of the experience of watching the show.
Yeah.
She comes on, you said, and just kind of lights up the stage that was maybe a bit more muted before.
Yeah.
And so the contribution she's making also factors into a vote.
Yeah. Keisha comes on and you go, oh, an adult has entered the chat.
Right.
A real professional has. And Lindsay does a lovely job in Merrily, but it is a little hard to discern in that trio where it's very much sort of about their chemistry. And I know some people are like, oh, poor Lindsay, she's the only one of the three that didn't win. I'm like, well, also, Daniel has Franklin Shepherd Inc., so he's got a big moment to sell what he's doing.
Yeah.
It's also his first nomination after having done a lot of shows on Broadway. Has never complained once about not being nominated.
And seems to really love theater.
He's
being here in New York,
exactly
doing a show.
He's a movie star, but we do think of him as part of the community because he keeps coming back and doing all these different things.
And also here, just lovely with everybody.
He was lovely to me when I was 13. I'll say that.
So lovely.
When I met him that one time in the bathroom at that restaurant that's now the BLT on 57th Street. 57th and Lex, I think.
Did you talk to him in the bathroom?
Sure did.
I love the
James
courage.
Seol.
I love the courage and the bravery.
The mother courage. James Seol, let me tell you this one story, and then we got to do a break, and then we'll come back.
Okay.
It was my parents' wedding anniversary. I was 13 years old. Chamber of Secrets was about to come out in theaters, and clearly he was in town doing press for it. Because my parents' anniversary they're divorced now, but it was in the summer. But my grandmother, the one who's 100 now, was out of town at the time. She came back in September and she was like, I'm taking you to dinner for your anniversary. And I got to go. And it was this restaurant. I don't know what it was then. Now it's the BLT on 57th between Lexington and Park. And we go there, and I remember being so annoyed because it was like this adulty restaurant, so I was going to be the only kid there. Halfway through our meal, I look across and I see there's Daniel Radcliffe with his parents and what looks like a bodyguard. And my mom is like, you know what you should do? You should send him a dessert, because adults send each other drinks all the time. And I was like, that's what they do when they want to date each other. I'm 13, he's 15. I don't think that's how this is going to work. So what I do is I just I enjoy our meal. And then at one point I see he goes up to get to the bathroom with his
bodyguard?
His bodyguard, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm like, this is like it's an intimate-ish restaurant.
Okay.
Not a lot of people like there to like see and be seen, and no one's bothering him. But I was like, okay. I got up, go into the bathroom, and the one thing I remembered about him was that he liked The Simpsons. And I like The Simpsons. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know how I was going to start anything, but I believe his body...
Was it going through your mind as you were walking
I was like, how do
to
I...
the bathroom?
Yeah, I was like, how do I... But somehow his bodyguard said something to me. I don't remember what, but I said something along the lines of like a response regarding The Simpsons. And I remember Daniel looking at me going like, you like The Simpsons? Because I guess maybe they aren't as big a deal in the UK as they are here. Or at least they weren't in 2003.
Sure.
I was like, oh my God, I love it. And I was like referencing certain episodes and all this stuff. And he's like, oh my God.
This is all in the bathroom?
All in the bathroom. And we talked about it for like maybe 2 minutes. He said, what's your name, Matt? He goes, oh, cool, lovely. He goes back to his table. I go back to mine. They finish their meal like 45 minutes before we do. So they're getting up to leave. And he comes over, shakes my hand and says, Matt, it was so nice to meet you, and leaves.
Oh my gosh!
And I haven't
what a lovely young man.
And I haven't washed that hand
since 2003. Oh my God, I wouldn't either.
Absolutely.
But with everybody backstage, like he's
a class act. And then Jonathan like is the center of that show, and also like around forever,
and the big emotional core. Yes,
yeah.
Totally.
And so I get why Lindsay didn't win. I also got why Maria didn't win, and I'll talk about that in a second as well. But Keisha's win makes sense to me.
Yeah,
it is a potent performance, and it was really down to her, BB, and Lindsay. But BB also has 2 Tony Awards, and while she and Steven Skybell walk away with the show, and honestly my vote probably would have been Steven over Daniel, but Daniel was very much my second with a bullet.
Mm-hmm. Actually, those two are the least non-controversial elements of Cabaret.
Oh, that's the thing. Everyone agrees that Steven and BB walk away with the show. Yeah. And that was why I thought they both kind of had a shot. But I think ultimately people were not liking Cabaret enough that they couldn't bring themselves to vote for them. And also, again, BB's got 2. Keisha's got none.
Right.
But yeah, Keisha, Daniel gave a lovely speech and looked so good in his little purple tux.
Such a great speech, too.
Yeah.
And actually in line with stuff we've already said about him, where, you know, it was a celebration and an appreciation for the community.
Absolutely.
And
then Marilee...
I wrote, what a weird Jason Alexander mustard commercial. Oh, there was some weird commercial where he was in drag for a lot of it. Yeah.
Man's gotta eat. Okay. Then I think Marilee did a performance, according to CBS's YouTube channel anyway. It looks like Marilee was next. Have you seen this revival?
I haven't, and I feel bad about it because I do love the show. Mm-hmm. I think the actors in it are spectacular. I just don't have...
then you'll love this revival. I mean,
it's only playing for like a couple more weeks too.
I know. I personally think that this revival is a little overpraised. Okay. It is very good, mm-hmm. and they make a lot of Marilee work better than it has before. Yeah. A lot of credit for that also goes to James Lapine, who really helped reshape that script in the 80s and early 90s.
No other show has been in development for as long as Marilee Rolling On has been in development.
Well, it's why I don't like this narrative. Like, Maria Friedman figured out how to fix it. I'm like, it's not the same script it was in 1982.
Yes, right.
It's changed so much.
Right. And we also have to remember that, you know, one of the things that a lot of people agree on is that the way that it was directed, the way that it was presented as an experience, mm-hmm. right? With the names on the t-shirts and things like that, that those were hard to follow as part of as elements of storytelling.
Yeah. I think part of it is we are all more aware and comfortable with Marilee over the years, and we just understand it. Yeah,
totally.
So that helps us going into it.
We know the conceit.
Yes. Yeah. And that show is still flawed. It's got continuity errors up the butt. But like, if you try to make a timeline of Gussie and Frank's affair, you'll be lost because the show changes that narrative every other scene. If you want to if you want to find a timeline of Mary's alcoholism, they claim at one point that it started the day that Franklin came back, but then there's also references of like her having issues when she was younger. Like it's just they don't know what to do. It's also the most simplistic view of professional artistry and compromise I've ever seen. It's like the moment you make a single change to anything you're working on, you've sold out.
Yes,
I also think
it's either or, right? Yeah.
And I talked about this with the theater lovers. I also think it's hilarious that in the era that Merrily starts, Frank is considered a sellout for going to Hollywood when it's the 1970s, arguably one of the best decades for Hollywood artistry.
For filmmaking.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Charlie's like, come back to the theater. I'm like, oh, the theater in the 1970s, one of the worst decades it's ever had, outside of the Sondheim oeuvre. Like, really? Okay. So it's just hilarious to me. Like, oh, so should Franklin stay in Hollywood where they're doing The Godfather, Taxi Driver, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Annie Hall, Julia, Star Wars? Or should he go back to Broadway where they're doing I Love My Wife and The Lieutenant?
The Lieutenant.
Mac and Mabel.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no, you tell me. Ballroom, you tell me.
Yeah.
Two Gentlemen of Verona.
It is reductive. Yes. In terms of, what it means to be a sellout, what it means to be a true artist. Yeah. Absolutely.
But their Tony performance was good because it showed their chemistry, which is what it was all about. And the way they do that number is very, very lovely.
Totally. And actually, and the way they do that number is completely informed by their chemistry.
Absolutely. And you see them do all these bits, and it's all very. It's a good representation of that show. And there are some performances in the production that I find to be lacking, and they were not in that number.
I've heard you mention that in other episodes.
There's one performance that's just objectively terrible.
Okay.
And then two that I find to be...
You can tell me offline.
I will tell you offline. And then there are two that I find to be kind of... Really it's just one. One that's sort of half-baked. Yeah. And I do think that those... At least the one performance that's objectively terrible, I do think that contributed to Maria not winning.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. Because I've talked about this a lot, and we were saying this earlier about Kenny, like part of the job of directing is casting, getting the right people in the roles and then guiding them to give the best performance they can. And when you have members of your company that stick out like a sore thumb, you can't blame the actor for getting cast. You blame the director for not recognizing it. Right. Yeah. And there are also some staging moments in Merrily that are kind of like... The ending of Not a Day Goes By ends with Beth on her knees, Medea style, being like, till the days go by. And I'm like, ma'am, this is a Wendy's.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, there are a couple of other weird staging moments like that. I also think by making Frank Jr. not pronounce his R's so he seems cuter to us, turned off enough Tony voters like myself to say, you have the audacity to bring a child onto my stage. And then you make him even more insufferable because he can't pronounce his R's like a fucking idiot. Get out. Get out.
Wait, but won't most people find that to be cute and adorable?
Sure, the same people that were like, oh my god, Alicia Keys is on the stage performing right now. Okay. God bless. So you'll love it. So you and the other dum-dums will love it. But me...
easily tricked by the little kid.
Yeah, me, myself, and I, who has a college education for some reason, I sat there and I went, no ma'am. And also that kid they do one last Merrily reprise before they get to the Our Time scene. So they're doing like the rolling along. And Frank gets on the little platform to be on like the roof for the Spudnik viewing.
Yes.
And the last person to sing Rolling Along is the little Frank Jr.
Little kid?
So he goes, he's like, rolling along. And everyone goes, aw. And I went, get the fuck off my stage.
That's how it ends?
No, that's how they...
that's how that
transition ends. That transition ends right before the Our Time scene. Everyone else...
I guess it's choices like that, though, that maybe connect to this praise that she's gotten about how there's so much more heart and sensitivity and warmth in the show, right?
Yeah. I don't find this production to be cold. I think a lot of the emotion comes from Lindsay and Jonathan because Jonathan's a wet man and therefore we all feel the tears.
Right.
We'll get to his speech, but everyone was texting me about like his tears. I'm like, yeah, he's a wet man.
Yeah.
He's a little seal.
Yeah, I like I enjoy his earnestness.
Yeah, no, and I think it's organic. I don't think it's an act.
Oh yeah, 100%. Brandon Jacobs Jenkins
wins for Revival.
Yeah,
and someone said, someone wrote in, did he shade Enemy of the People in that speech because he talks about like how he would share.
We don't have to worry about Henrik Ibsen.
Yeah,
right.
That was a joke. Ibsen plays have won Revival twice, and he's like, I want to share this with Ossie Davis.
I think it's less shade on the Revival of Enemy of the People and just more just he was
making a joke.
A joke about American theater in general.
Yeah, we award Ibsen all the time, but like
Yes.
Ossie Davis doesn't have a Tony.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
right.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he enjoyed this revival of Enemy of the People, but it's, you know.
I'm in full support of what he
Yeah,
said.
it's a similar joke to when Billy Porter when Kelly Bishop first said, because Billy Porter stole the joke, when Kelly Bishop was like, I share my Tony Award with my cast members for chorus line. I'm keeping it at my house though.
Yeah,
Like,
right. Yes. Yes. It's salty.
Yeah, it's fun. It's
I
fun.
don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. I wrote here Kennedy Center honors for Cheetah was far better.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'm just like, why not show us Cheetah? I don't. I'm the kind of person where I know it's the Tonys and it's all about live
there
performance.
were pictures, but
Nothing they did touches what she did in the Kiss of the Spider-Woman Tony performance, or that brief clip of her doing America on some like American national broadcast in the 80s.
Kiss the Spider-Woman was my first Broadway show. So I saw Kiss the Spider-Woman Friday night, and then Tommy was the Saturday matinee.
And you came out on Sunday.
I did, yes, very much so.
He said, I want to do theater, and
Oh gosh,
gay.
if only that were the narrative. That would be the narrative. That'll be the narrative that I craft in my memoir when I write it.
Yeah. The joke I like to say is I saw Amy Spenger do Always True to You in My Fashion and Kiss Me Kate that December. And
So talented, that lady.
And then saw Sherry Renee Scott and Heather Headley and Aida 3 months later, and I
God.
came out that April.
So gay, so gay. I love it.
Yeah, if only I'd seen Toni Collette and Eartha Kitt in Wild Party at the age of 10, I think I actually would have come out by June.
You know what I remember most about Kiss the Spider-Woman was, well, okay, the big thing was that just the sound of it was so lush and perfect and beautiful and glorious. Which means like the projection of the sound, but also like the score itself and the music. And then knowing that at the time she was in her 60s.
Yeah.
But I mean, just giving it and dancing throughout the entire thing. Basically, and she only sings and dances in that show. She doesn't have. She's like one tiny book scene.
Yeah.
And I mean, her voice sounded like the recording.
Yep.
The cast recording. And it was just this example of excellence.
You know what I think about it? What's burned in my brain from that Tony performance? When she's lying down on the row of men, and she does the leg extension on Some Matinee.
Yes.
It's the extension. It's her face. That is a woman that has theater in her skin.
Oh my gosh. Similar to what we were saying about George C. Wolfe and Jack O'Brien. Yeah. I like a theater beast.
I'm like, show me that extension on loop for 90 seconds.
Totally.
And then say, this is our honoring of Cheetah Rivera. And I'd be like, absolutely, done.
Yeah.
Cut print.
But you know what? Right after that moment when she gets back up and she adjusts her hat, there is something about the way she does it, the timing of it, where she knows that, she's got to do it to keep it on because she's about to do a big old lifts and kicks and stuff. And then she just does it so, like, even those little gestures are so masterful.
I know it's because it's Broadway. We want to do live tributes. That was one where I'm like, just show us some of her best, because nothing any of you flops on that stage are going to do is going to touch Cheetah.
But the thing is that Kennedy Center Honors was live, and they have that film segment, but then they get all the people to come into DC and do these live performances, and that was amazing because it was like 30 ensemble dancers.
You also have the benefit of more time on stage. You do have more dancers. Like, it can be more epic. We're talking like groups of 3 or 4 dancers for 10 seconds. And all those dancers are lovely, but none of them will be able to make a statement in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Cheetah could, but that's because there's only one Cheetah Rivera. Like, there was only one Gwen Verdon. So I'm just like, show me that leg extension. Show the world that Kiss of the Spider-Woman leg extension. Do it right now.
Yeah, that's right.
There was also the Water for Elephants performance, which you said you really liked.
Yes, I did really like it.
Did you see the show yet?
I haven't.
Okay.
So I'm going to see it now. I feel like it sold me.
It sold a few people. Again, there's no general consensus on anything.
Yes,
the only thing that I had...
That's a recurring theme this season. Is no general consensus on anything.
The only thing I got a close to general consensus on was Ariana DeBose and the opening number, and then that one person that's coming at the very end and be like, she's great, I loved the opening. And I'm like, okay, well, there goes that 100%. But everything else, it's all over the place. Some people loved the Hell's Kitchen performance. Some people hated it. Some people...
Similar with Water for Elephants, too. I've heard some people that love the design. Some people who are like, the design's not that great.
I think people wanted spectacle, but I've never found circus to be spectacle. It's about stunts more than it is about, like, epic design, especially for that show.
There were... what is it? Parallels back to that Pippin number.
Sure.
There's in the Water for Elephants number.
Yeah.
But I do love that stuff.
It's like Outsiders means Pippin.
I guess.
So actually, James, before we continue any further, I have to interrupt and just say we need to take a quick break.
Really, I beg to differ with you. How do you mean? You're the top. Yeah. You're an arrow collar. You're the top. You're a Coolidge dollar. You're the nimble.
And we're back. Okay. So we got to plow through some more stuff because you and I have deadlines that we've been just blowing past. We talked about the Water for Elephants performance, the Cheetah tribute. We haven't talked about, some more winners we have. We have Best Score, which went to Shayna for South, but we kind of went into that a little bit, right? It's very much a musical theater score. Someone was asking, how can something win Score and Book and not Best Musical? Well... we mentioned it earlier, but think about Drowsy Chaperone versus Jersey Boys, Urinetown versus Millie, Parade versus Fosse, Ragtime versus Lion King. Sometimes a show can have a lot of heat or energy and passion behind it that make voters really excited to vote for it, even if maybe the material isn't as standalone great as another show.
Sure.
And you can sort of honor two shows separately in different ways. I think with Outsiders, it is a case of the whole being greater than the sum of its parts, and Stuffs being a situation of good craft that does not equal maybe a great overall experience.
Right.
And I think that is what happened with Stuffs with Score. But we were talking about Illinois and their Tony performance. I would like to get into it just a little bit.
Okay.
If only because someone was like, I'm straight. Explain that performance to me. Well, so first of all, there is a story in Illinois, right? It's a group of I guess writers, almost like a writers retreat, and they all tell different stories
by a campfire.
Exactly. They're all sharing stories of their lives, and some of it is experiences, some of it are dreams, some of it are fantasies, whatever. And our main character, played by Ricky Ubeda, talks about his journey to this campsite, starting with his relationship with his best friend, played by Ben Tyler Cook, and them traveling to New York from Chicago and having this sort of, it's almost like a will they won't they friendship. Ricky Ubeda is very clearly gay and is realizing that with his sexuality, and Ben Tyler Cook is a little more conflicted, I would guess one could say.
I guess that's true now that I think about it. I might have glossed over that in my...
Just for their...
Because the tears were just...
Yeah. Well, so because it starts with Chicago, right? It starts with the song Chicago with them.
Yes.
And they're traveling, and Ben Tyler Cook is with Gabby Diaz.
Yes.
That's that. They have that
pas de deux thing. Yes.
Yes, and they are all, and it's important to mention all this because these actors are all in the Tony performance, and at some point, because Ricky and Ben, their energy together is very truly best friends, but there's an intimacy with that kind of a friendship that also gets complicated when one person might feel a certain way and another one maybe too afraid to say how they feel.
Absolutely.
I have friends that have had very similar friendships like that, where they were gay, very close friends with a straight man, or supposedly straight, and the love that the straight man had for the gay friend complicated the waters a bit, because they were unsure if that love meant romance, if it was just platonic, because again, it's an intimacy that not all men are familiar with, and they get confused by it.
It's very nuanced.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's aren't I supposed to only feel this way for a woman? Isn't that what that's all about? And I'm trying to find the name of the actor who plays Ricky's guy. It's not Elijah Lyons, is it? I'm trying.
And he and the best friend, yes, I would totally agree, absolutely agree that they have a very specific kind of friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess and there's heat in the sense that electricity, right? There's a connection between the two of them.
And things that aren't being expressed because it would lead to discomfort or a possible blow up and fallout.
And then the friend does have a girlfriend, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
but then she's left behind in Chicago. Is
yeah,
that right?
he has Gabby Diaz, and he leaves her behind to go on this road trip with Ricky. Like it's you're my girlfriend, but this is my person.
Yes,
and I think that you can obviously you can come up with any sort of narrative you want, but I do think there was almost like a fantasy in the character of Ben Cook's brain of what could this road trip lead to. I don't know, but like let's see where it goes. It's one of those things where you're too afraid to take the plunge on something because you're not even sure if you want it, if you believe in it. And what if it doesn't end up being what you want? Like, does that blow up all the things you already have? And or is all this love in Ricky Ubeda's head, right?
Right.
But there's enough sort of push and pull and a lot of tension that Ricky is kind of being not led on, but there are things that Ricky's like sort of already experimenting with. So I think and
it's also his past. So he's presumably younger, a little bit more not uncertain. That's the wrong word. Not quite able to discern what these feelings are exactly, right? So he's figuring out a lot of things too.
Absolutely,
presumably,
yes,
at this point in his life,
exactly. And I think the actor who he meets up with is Craig Salstein. I think
the boyfriend.
Yeah. Basically, Ricky Ubeda's character. What is the character's name? It's Henry.
I should know this too. I've seen it, but
I just know them as the dancers, not as their characters' names. But Henry, played by Ricky Ubeda. Henry meets a guy. I think his name is Boone, and that becomes a wedge with Ben Cook, which I think is another piece of evidence of like there is something here beyond just like platonic friendship.
Sure. That
territorialness you have over your friend finding someone who is
an
possibly
extra layer.
Of there's a part of your best friend that you can't touch unless you're willing to maybe explore something about yourself you're too afraid to.
Right.
And if you're too afraid, someone is going to come along who can, take over the elements that you cannot handle.
Yeah.
And so that is what's happening with Ricky Ubeda's Henry and this guy Boone. And Ben blows up and goes away. And Ricky Ubeda basically is left to kind of like pick himself up now that he's been abandoned by the person who mattered the most to him and start this love with this boyfriend.
Right.
So we get to the Tony performance, which is them doing the song, "The Predatory Wasp of the Palisades is Out to Get Us." Mm-hmm. And the performance itself is essentially Ricky being with his boyfriend, but also being haunted and troubled by the memories and the guilt and the confusion.
Because the thing that I thought the number did really well, this truncated version of the number, was that it left out certain dramatic details that we do learn about watching the show.
Yeah.
But we still understand that he's going through something very traumatic and that he's still wrestling with it.
Yeah. Well, so
right?
It all boils down to the song itself. Which I had never heard this album before until I saw the show, and this song now brings me to tears every time I listen to it. It doesn't matter where I'm at or what I'm doing.
Yeah.
The story of the song, as Sufjan Stevens wrote it, was about his friendship and love with this boy in his life back home. And Sufjan was raised Christian. And so it starts with a verse about him being in his bedroom alone writing, and he sees a wasp on the window or the door, and it takes him back to his memories with his best friend when they were teenagers and growing up together in the Midwest. And they were both, there's the line, we were in love. And the wasp is sort of this constant reminder of not danger, but like oppression. I would do like a lot of research
very
about
specific image. So,
Yeah.
it is certainly not one of comfort or lack of tension. Right?
There's a sting that a wasp
Yeah,
provides,
exactly,
and can be poisonous and can affect you.
Yeah.
And I did all this reading about it because I was like, I'm getting a certain emotional response to this, but now I want to like read up on the details of the lyrics. And apparently something that Sufjan really writes about a lot is his own struggles with his religion and his sexuality, because he does believe in God, he loves God, but also he understands the like problems that the church has with homosexuality, especially because it was apparently a really big problem with him and his friend growing up. What do you do with this deep love you have with each other that is so pure and so connected, but then everything around you is telling you not to do it, that it's wrong, but when you're together it feels so right? Are you blinded by something in this connection with your friend, or are the people you trust around you wrong? And it ultimately seems like from the song that Sufjan decided that he was right to love who he loved, and he could find a balance between that and God, but his friend couldn't do that.
Right.
Because there's the line, "My friend is gone, he ran away, I can tell you I love him each day. Though we have sparred, wrestled, and raged, I can tell you I love him each day." And when I tell you, James, that I sob every time I hear it, because it's also like, musically the song captures it captures sort of, being present while also daydreaming, and then also has moments that it's just like a theatrical, vivacious youth to it. Like when they get to the "we were in love" and the "oh great sights upon this state, hallelujah."
Yeah.
It's like, it's music that you just imagine someone like running through a field and in a movie,
Totally.
Teenager, or like
and that informs why it's such great dance music too.
Gorgeous dance
why
music.
Movement can both enhance it, and how music can enhance the movement, and how they can sort of be in this loop together.
So you get the ultimate highs of being so wonderfully unbound and in love with someone, where it's this pure joy of a euphoric feeling that we're all supposed to have in our lives. And then it gets quieter and softer, and we get to the I can't explain the state that I'm in, the state of my heart, he was my best friend, and going into all that. And lines like, "though we have sparred, wrestled, and raged, I can tell you I love him each day," is not composed in an angry manner. It's still in a light, matter-of-fact way. And
well, it is that all things can be true at once.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
it's definitely not angry.
No.
And in fact, that's why it's so moving. Ultimately, with the whole piece of it.
Yeah.
With the movement and.
So I'm gonna express a little personal thing. I'm gonna be as vague as I can, because again, I'm trying not to like speak too much, but I want to find a parallel between something I've been through that I relate very hard to in the song that I think a lot of gay men have been through at some point, especially because in this world where we are still kind of grappling with who is on board with homosexuality, and like where in the world is it okay to be gay, and like sometimes you think to yourself like it would just be easier to be straight. Like all the time you think it'd be I'm happy and proud with who I am, but like often I'm like, I'm just so tired and I don't want to have to keep fighting. I just want to live and enjoy the world.
I'm sure I feel that's probably universal in the queer community.
Absolutely. And there are
just the questioning it at some point.
Yeah. And there are people who prioritize that comfort above all else.
Right.
And there are people who willingly ignore elements of their sexuality in order to be able to have that kind of comfort, whether you are gay or bisexual or straight with gay tendencies or just confused or whatever. And I have had an experience with someone where like they definitely had a queerness about them. Mm-hmm. Granted, they are more open about it now, but at the time they were still kind of figuring it out, and I didn't know where they were at. I just knew that we got along, and our relationship was such that it was like a friendship that also had a passion to it, and we fell into what should be a very healthy relationship of like, I like you and I love you. I want to have sex with you and I want to talk about, dumb stuff once we're finished, like what it should be. But there are a lot of complicated demons to this person.
Right.
When
We're talking about like a baggage thing, right? Stuff from the past. And,
past and their present,
right.
and things that they wouldn't tell me about. So I had no idea of knowing. And eventually, the more I learned, the more I got concerned and got hurt along the way. But ultimately, when I still tried to kind of be there for them, when it became clear that, okay, I don't think I can be your person, not because I don't want to, but it's very clear that, like, you're not ready for that. And there are things you want in your life that is your choice, but I can't, in order for you to have that, you can't have me as your person. But I can still care about you, and we can still be in each other's lives. And you're going through something, I would like to be there for you. And I was able to for a minute. And then when the ultimate push came to shove, and they had to make a decision, the decision was to cut me off and cut me out without any knowledge on my part that that's what was happening. And so I was left confused and heartbroken and wondering, did all that I invested in this person matter at all? Was I just sort of convenient means to an end at the time? Again, left with all of these questions.
Sure. And
all of this struggle. And I would cry and I would complain to my friends, and my friends would say, you know, the necessary mean stuff about this person to make me feel better. But ultimately, I can tell you, I love him each day.
Right.
And that is something that anyone in the world can definitely understand if they've been through it. But it's something that queer men have more often felt than anyone else, because we all have had someone in our lives that we've cared so much about that ultimately went for what they thought was the easier thing and left some kind of brokenness behind them.
Right. And brokenness in us too,
Yeah.
because of some sort of lack of, a lack of communication or just no communication at all. Or disconnect in what good communication is to begin with.
I can't properly express what lack of closure does to a person.
Yeah.
Lack of explanation, lack of understanding. When you have only questions in you, that eats away at you.
Yeah.
And especially when it's someone who, because what you remember is the feeling of caring and the euphoria of love and the passion and that connection. And the person goes away, and there's just this void where they used to be.
Off a cliff, literally, right?
Yeah.
It's just like there's nothing there. Yeah.
And the fact is, what happens, what's going on with them has nothing to do with you. It's their own stuff. Totally. You were unfortunately carnage that happened because of it.
Right.
And so with Ricky Ubeda's character, it's just very clear in that performance and in that song. It's a beautiful expression of what that song is talking about. And he has this boyfriend with him, right? Who the number ends with them kind of like coming together and getting Ricky off of the cliff of this almost mental break, because he's still troubled by the lack of closure with Ben.
Yeah, and the permanence in that lack of closure, and he'll never get it again, or there's no way he'll get it.
He loves him each day.
Yeah, and so it's just like and the moment where they where the boyfriend gets him and begins to like pat his chest,
breathe with him,
and they breathe together, and it's just everything about it's just beautiful. It was really beautiful, and I, and the fact that there's no dialogue, it's sung music with lyrics and movement, and still I can understand it, grasp it, and not only that, but be so profoundly moved by it. It's miraculous to me. It really is.
That's the thing, is musical theater at its best.
Yeah. Is
this brilliant combination of chemistry and intelligence, right? Your brain shuts off and your heart takes over, and you just feel something you can't feel in any other medium.
100%.
But when it's good, when your brain turns back on, you can go back and you can start analyzing it, and you find all these deeper levels that you didn't find at first because you were just feeling the emotional impact.
Yeah. It took me a good maybe 10, 15 minutes.
With Illinois?
Yeah, of how do I listen? How do I watch this?
Yeah.
And so because I bring that up because you mentioned this like softness, like literally softening my brain. And I guess that means really just doing my best to take in and absorb the entirety of the experience, right?
Yeah.
Not analyzing like, well, what is that lyric? How does that lyric tie right now to this specific movement that I just saw, right? That level of analysis it wasn't useful for me as I experienced it all. And so once I was able to really let go into the vocabulary of what the show is, I mean, that's when the tears just started and did not stop for an hour and a half.
On that note, also, my friend Braden is in town, and he asked me what he should see tonight, and I was like, "Oh no, what's available?" He goes, "Well, Illinois has a show tonight." I was like, "Oh, see that," and I had to sort of tell him sort of what the vibe was of it.
Sure.
And he goes, "Okay, well, if I don't like it, we can't hang out when I'm tomorrow." And he just texted me getting out of the show, and he goes, "Okay, we can hang out." So he and I are going to talk about Predatory Wasp, but like. There are moments in shows that even if, I don't always love the show, there's like a moment that I can hold on to. And I really do enjoy Illinois. It does take about 20 minutes for me to get invested. The first 20 minutes I go, good music, wonderful dancing. But it's really when the Henry plotline happens that I go, oh, fuck, this is going to curb stomp my heart.
Sure.
And that number in
there
particular,
is such an immediacy in the recognition of it too.
Yeah. And I think what makes it, in my opinion, the best number performance of this ceremony is it does what I think the best Tony performances do, which is they don't go, how do we showcase as much of the show as we can? How do we sell this to middle America? They go, let us find a specific moment and really just expose as much of it as we can.
Yeah.
It's the Sidney Lucas and Fun Home just doing Ring of Keys.
Yes, Ring of Keys, totally. That's exactly what it is. And luckily, for the most part, the medium, so the camera work and all of that, was served, the piece was served by all of that.
Yeah.
For stuff that I mentioned earlier, I think close-ups came at the right time, or rather...
it was one time.
Not extreme close-ups, but just so that you could make out a little bit more than you might be able to see if you're sitting, way back in the orchestra or in the balcony of the theater.
It was the only performance where the close-ups actually brought you in instead of making you feel like you were too close.
Yeah.
Because it was also the truth. It was the truth of also acceptance speeches. There were speeches where the camera was far too close. I'm like, this part is too intimate for us.
Oh, Jonathan Groff had a moment like that. I was like, get back. Get back
really,
from
it was far too close.
Yeah,
exactly, far too close. But Illinois for me.
Not because of anything wrong with Jonathan Groff. It's just like no human needs to be. You don't need to see any face that big.
Not at all. I also appreciate Will Brill acknowledging his therapist. Speaking of Stereophonic performed, and a lot of people were confused as to why it was as short as it was. The Tony Awards were not going to include Stereophonic performing, and then they got a lot of pressure online and in the community to do it, and they didn't have a lot
of
last minute edition, and it was like an 80-second cut of Masquerade. And when I tell you, like, if you want to know why we all are freaking out about that number, just go on YouTube and look up the Jimmy Fallon performance of it, where they do the whole thing, and it's great.
Yeah. The album, I've been making my way through it.
It's so good.
It's great. It's really great. Really, really great. I wrote Outsiders cast toweling each other off during the commercial break.
Yep. Making every sexually confused boy in America go, I think I know what I am now. So, okay, that performance, The Outsiders was one for me where it started and I wasn't pleased because the opening number of The Outsiders is my least favorite song on that show.
Okay.
So I was already annoyed that they were doing that. But they're like, it was a case where like, oh, we want to show off the whole cast and really all this other stuff. Once
like Angelina Jolie introducing it and they kind of like scooching off to the backstage or whatever, that was hilarious.
But at least she didn't join the Rumble. But so God forbid we showcase the people who are doing this 8 times a week instead of the multimillionaires who are producing it. But so
oh my gosh, she should have had an Alicia Keys moment.
Yeah, she should have come on and she said, "They call me Pony Boy." And this is Tulsa, 1963.
I will say this. I watched and I was like, oh boy, another medley of songs. Okay, fine. And they got through that Josh Boone number. Yeah. And got to that fight sequence.
The Rumble, yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm sold.
Yeah, the Rumble is the best thing in the show. And it's also like 10 times longer on stage. I think it's...
I figured.
Yeah, it's like 5-6 minutes long.
But I was like, I'm glad they moved towards this.
Absolutely. I would have loved it if they had done maybe like 45 seconds of Josh Boone into the Rumble and just cut.
And just not done the opening number. Okay.
And part of them, I'm sure they're like, well, we want to feature Brody Grant because he's nominated. I'm like, I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
You don't need to show off all your nominees. Beth Level didn't sing a goddamn word in the Drowsy Chaperone.
Oh, that's true.
Tony
Yeah,
performance.
that's right.
And she won. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Sutton. And the reason they did is it was the best number to showcase everyone
the show.
And the comedy of the show. Because like, as we
and
saw.
and the tone and even the design elements of the show.
Yeah.
All the components of the show.
Because like Beth's number doesn't show off the choreography, doesn't show off, you know, the creativity of the staging. And also like her number as we stumble along is really only funny in context.
Yes.
Especially with the staging with
you
Sutton.
have to get the character to be able to then laugh at that song.
Yes. Like having it be the man in chair into Sutton shows you the genius of the book and how fun the score can be and how good everyone else is. But
And that is a good example of the kind of number that you were talking about, like the 2080, right? Because the first bit was the man in chair, like having the moment, the kind of moments that he has in the show that then leads into the number.
Or think about Piazza doing Statues and Stories, one of the best openings of all time.
Yeah.
Doing a little bit of the overture with Victoria Clark talking and then leading into Kelly doing her ahs and then, you know, a version of Statues and Stories. It's maybe like 90 seconds shorter than it is on stage. And it ends with Kelly and Matthew Morrison, but Matthew doesn't sing a goddamn note in it.
Yes,
and he was a nominee that year.
Right.
They were like, this
But
is how...
it captures the moment, though. That magical moment that
it features him for sure, but they're not like going, oh, let's do like some passeggiata into Statues and Stories. Like, no, that would be a terrible transition.
Yes, right.
Let's just show our show.
I am remembering
as best
that
we can.
right? Doesn't the hat fly on?
Yeah,
the hat flies.
Kelly goes
and
off for a second, gets the hat, it comes off. Because they also, it's a different end button on that song than in the show. Because in the actual show, the hat flies off after the song.
Yes, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, it's a brilliantly done performance, and I think outsiders should have simplified and done an intro into the Rumble, done some 30-second clip of a different number to get us into the Rumble, and then give us 3.5 minutes of that Rumble, because that is what makes your show compelling.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Again, because if the Tony Awards are a glorified commercial for these shows to try to entice more people to come see, then it's like what is the thing that's going to capture the essence? What is the thing that's going to capture the essence of the whole? Yeah. In the limited amount of time that we have.
And beyond that, we know this now. They didn't know this in the 70s and 80s, but we know this now. What you perform is going to be a preservation of your show forever.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh, totally. I didn't even think about that.
The Dreamgirls performance is our insight into what that show was like.
Yeah.
Because bootlegs can show you stuff, but it's not the same. This is living on forever.
Yes. With the advantage of multicam, you know, the different degrees of shots that can be captured, and all spliced together with clarity, right? With good sound. Yeah. So this is for posterity, 100%. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. And so it's like, well, then how is the thing going to be remembered too?
Yeah. How are we going to look? I mean, think about the Tony performance.
So like Into the Woods, that revival Into the Woods, I guess it's just a Wikipedia of a bunch of fairy tales thrown together. Like,
I mean, listen, one of the most debated Tony wins, and part of it is because of the performance on the Tony ceremony itself, is Catherine Zeta-Jones for A Little Night Music, which, granted, a performance that I saw on Broadway and heavily disliked.
Yeah.
But a lot of her defenders on that are like, you didn't see her performance, you just saw the Tony performance. And yes, she was bad on that, but like, it was so different in the theater. But also, like, that is a case of...
Wasn't that different in the theater?
She didn't move her head around quite so much when she was doing Send in the Clowns.
Okay.
She was a little softer, but also there was the rest of the show where I thought she was quite terrible. Yeah. But my point is that is how we remember her performance, and that production is what she did there. How we remember Full Monty and Ragtime and Lion King is like what they... Sideshow, which was just Emily and Alice doing the damn thing. And
actually, Ragtime and Lion King, too. I mean... they could have done all kinds of but I think landing on one specific chunk of the show, and truncated, for time,
streamlining for sure,
but still, like, capturing, like for Ragtime, for instance, capturing the scope of the piece, Lion King capturing the sort of innovative, everything, right?
Yeah.
Design and yeah.
Because also we look back at these performances and sometimes people go, how could this lose? Like, look at this amazing performance.
Right.
And sometimes it's just like the best performance.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the 1969 Tony Awards, and if you don't know 1776, you watch that Tony performance and you go, how did this beat Promises when Turkey Lurkey Time is one of the greatest stage numbers of all time?
Sure.
Zorba with Their Life Is.
Yeah.
Like, how did this happen? But 1776 is a brilliant musical. But it's no one's really thinking about that. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
right.
don't you want to preserve the 4 minutes of your show so that way it can be iconic in the future?
Yeah.
Because the two go hand in hand. You sell, like, if the number is gonna sell your show, that means it's gonna be iconic later on. So
Yeah,
like,
that's
think
right.
about it all the way.
That's right. I mean, think about all those musical Mondays at gay bars across this country.
That half of my friends host.
This is the clip that you want shown.
Yeah, this is what you chose. And what's interesting is like Suff's performance actually kind of does what we're talking about on paper.
Yeah.
They focus on one number
Yeah.
and they simplify and they have a focus about it. The problem is I think they picked the wrong number.
Right.
I don't like this song, Keep Marching.
It's the finale.
The
yes.
absolute finale.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing it.
And and the message of it is so super clear and crisp. I do wonder maybe, if another ensemble piece could have been chosen.
I have no problem with the political messaging of Suffs. I have a problem with a lot of the execution of Suffs.
Sure.
And there are actual numbers in that show that are genuinely exciting.
Yeah.
Shayna is a good songwriter.
Yeah.
I think she needed
Yeah.
a book writer, but she's a good songwriter. And Keep Marching is like, it actually encapsulates what makes me frustrated with Suffs. It is, in a way, it is actually a good representation of the show because for all the things about Suffs that's intelligent and clever and well crafted, it is also incredibly pandering. It is a progressive's version of a MAGA rally because it's an echo chamber of all of us who think the exact same thing, hearing what we believe shouted on stage on a high E and going, Yas Queen, work, we're changing the world. And I'm like, you're not, because everyone here has the same opinion. We haven't changed a single mind.
I haven't seen it since I saw a preview when it was at the public.
I
haven't seen it since then. And my understanding is that everything has changed. Like design team.
Yeah.
There's been massive changes.
Everyone agrees. I did not get to see it at the public. They canceled my performance due to COVID. But everyone has said that it's a massive improvement from Off-Broadway. And even Jesse Green in his review, which I thought he wrote a really great review for it, where he's like, I can't tell you that this show is great. I can't give it a critic's pick. He's like, but I can absolutely recognize the work they've done and how much better it is. He's like, and I'm going to talk about that.
Yeah.
He's like, so I'm not telling you like I recommend it just yet. He's like, but they did what you're supposed to do.
I also I love all the Hillary Clinton, Barbara Cook memes that
Oh
have
my
been spreading
God.
today. I
Absolutely.
love it so much.
Oh, wait, another thing.
It makes me so happy.
Another thing that made me roll my fucking eyes. Someone on Facebook yesterday said, Happy Tonys. I really, really hope that Suffs wins Best Musical because we should give an award to Hillary Clinton because she worked so hard to be our president and it didn't happen and it should be our way to reward her. And I really, really, really wanted to write, you know, she didn't write this show, right? She put in some money. That's all she did. Do you want this to win Best Musical, not because you think the show is good, but because you want to give the Tony to Hillary Clinton? I think we should give the Tony to Suits, to Outsiders, because Angelina Jolie survived that plane ride with Brad Pitt.
There's a very strange logic there, especially because we're talking about a Broadway musical. Look, we're talking. You and I are literally talking about Broadway musicals now. We love them. I love them, 100%. But if we are talking within the larger context of American culture, the country itself, Broadway musicals are a relatively small percentage. The relatively small percentage of the population is interested in this particular medium. And I just think it's interesting. Like, we want to give her this thing, but it's such a specialized niche kind of interest. It just seems like a strange logic.
Well, people now also want... So stupidity is not just in the South, and it's not just in the GOP. It's
Right.
everywhere. And you hear it with the critical discourse of any show. This show is great because it's important. Is it important? Explain to me how. Well, the representation. Okay, but then how is it crafted? Where do the songs come in? My biggest defense towards my opinion about How to Dance in Ohio, because people come at me and they go, well, it broke barriers with representation and the story that it told. I'm like, absolutely. I'm like,
Right.
and imagine how much bigger an impact it could have had if it were good.
Right.
If that show were good, it could run longer and we would be talking about it way more. But when the first thing you say is, oh, it's so important,
Right.
that is code for you didn't do good,
Yeah.
but you tackled something we should tackle.
Yeah, it's so important. That is an interesting.
It's like when we
that's an
say-
interesting first go to if we're trying to push something.
It's like when a woman of a certain age shows off her body and you go, oh, how brave.
Right.
I'm like, can you kindly take that word and stuff it back in your mouth? Just do it. Just do it. I'm brave for showing my body because I should be charging a fee for it, but I let you look at it for free, and that is brave of me because I am going against capitalism. You're welcome. I'm fighting the good fight.
I will say it was nice to see her on the telecast.
Oh, sure.
I was happy. I was happy that when she popped up and introduced the number.
I was happy everyone was there except for, Cynthia Erivo.
Okay.
I'm kidding. I'm always happy to see her.
Wait, what's next? Oh, I wrote down Holland Taylor's reaction to Sarah Paulson's speech.
Mm-hmm.
There was a moment after she was done talking and the camera went over to, because she was sitting right next to Angelina Jolie, and the expression that Holland Taylor had on her face was just one of just delight and just like love for this person in her life. Yeah, it was great. I love it.
Yeah, well, they are in love, and that's
Yes.
very nice to see.
Yes.
And
her speech was good. I liked her speech a lot.
She had a very good speech. Also, in the pre-telecast, Julianne Hough had mentioned that Sarah Paulson was staying at her home.
Yes, they're staying in her apartment.
Yeah, and it was cute, and then it stopped being cute, and then it got cute again.
All within the span of like 30 seconds.
Like 45, yeah. But because at one point she just kept saying like, my home, my home, my home. And we all were like, we get it, Julianne. You're a homeowner. Fuck off. But she's like,
Give all that TV, dance money.
Well, because she had a great moment that I don't think she realized was funny when she was like, it's like, Sarah's staying at my home. And like, you're like, I'm just so happy that you're there. And I think she meant it earnestly, but the way she said it was just so funny that everybody laughed. And she was like, no, she's a great house guest. It's just like, you text me sometimes and go like, can I use this spoon? I'm like, of course you can use the spoon, baby. Like, yeah.
That is equates to Sean Hayes being like, oh, my friend Sarah Paulson, and giving each other this beautiful hug on stage.
Absolutely.
I love that community of celebrities.
Oh, wait, there was that dude in the pre-telecast, and I forgot his name, but a lot of people wrote in about him. He was like co-hosting with Julianne Hough.
Oh, yes. He's on a sitcom on CBS, right? I think.
I remember him in Pitch Perfect. That's like my main takeaway with him.
Very funny.
Well, normally, yes. Everyone was angry about him on the telecast.
Oh, really?
Or the people who wrote in, they were like, get him off the stage. And I think
I liked him.
I liked him in a sense, but I didn't. I
liked when he asked Anthony Ramos where his shirt was.
I liked when he said to. So he did one bit with Corey Stoll, and then he continued it with other people, but it was less funny. The one with Corey Stoll was like, Corey, or no, maybe he wasn't.
It was Liev Schreiber.
Oh, it was Liev Schreiber. Yeah. Where he's like, Liev, do you remember like we met at this one time? He's like, and then I walked into a plate of glass.
Yeah.
And
Liev's face, it was not a planned bit at all.
No.
Like, Liev was genuinely confused.
So I think for a second though, because I feel like it might be true, because at first when Liev is listening to him, like I thought the whole joke was like, remember we met 10 years ago and I was a nobody. And of course he wouldn't remember that. But then he's like, and then the moment I said bye to you, I walked into a plate of glass. And then I feel like I saw Liev.
Oh, like a little flash
of Liev being like, I remember
recognition.
I remember someone saying hi to me and then walking into a plate of glass. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. I remember the glass. Okay. The In Memoriam, Nicole Scherzinger.
Yes.
She was like, "Eat it, Audra."
Vocal cords of steel.
Yeah, she's like, "I will indeed be competing for Best Actress in a Musical this next season."
I am looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Sunset Boulevard.
I don't like that musical, so I'm excited to see them fuck with it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, all the clips that I've seen from the West End production just look fascinating. So
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it.
We talked about the Kit Kat Club the cabaret performance a little bit, but just
yeah, I this might sound too negative, but I was a little exhausted by the end of it. I was like, oh, this is just a taste of what it is probably like to watch the show. And it's not for lack of craftsmanship or skill or beauty of design or talent or anything like that. It was just something about the collective of all of it together. By the end, I was like, oh,
it's a I call this try hard cabaret. And
there was good camera work. I really loved how they took, like, they had that aerial view at one point. There was the moment where it was just Eddie Redmayne, and then the entire ensemble popped into the screen.
Yeah.
Like, I love stuff like that.
I think that the staging they did worked well with the medium of TV. My issue is, if you do end up seeing this production. So I went in very cautious because everything I had seen from London made me roll my eyes harder than my penis when I saw the Rumble and the Outsiders. Harder than every queer boy when those greasers were telling each other off after the Rumble last night. Rolling my eyes so hard. And people who I love were like, no, I swear it's so fantastic. And I'm like, sure, Jan. But the problem is that Mendes Marshall production from the 90s, first of all, so iconic, but unfortunately launched a trend of, well, now cabaret's got to be gritty, cabaret's got to be in your face. I had someone today message me.
It has to be immersive, too.
Immersive. I had someone message me today who didn't like the performance on the Tonys because she thought it was too gaudy and too happy. And she goes, cabaret's not a party show. I was like, well, the first half is. And she goes, okay, well, I mean, I actually have never seen the show. I was like, so all you know is that it's about the Nazis.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, and you've seen like clips of past productions where it's all about like shocking you.
Yeah, or just numbers. Without context.
No, Cabaret, Fiddler on the Roof, and Sound of Music have the same structure when it comes to, you know, the Jew haters. Is that those are the three Jew hater musicals, and it's because it's the first half is everything is great and like get sucked into how much you love our characters and you love this environment, and then like but there's sort of like a slight outside danger. Don't worry about it too much.
Yeah,
but then by
especially like in the Sound of Music, you don't really get a sense of it in the beginning.
For Sound of Music, it's truly not until halfway through Act 2 you go, oh right, Nazis. But Fiddler and Cabaret both end Act 1 with like, no, the danger is here.
Right.
It's here and it's happening.
Right.
And then Act 2 is like, okay, now we gotta fucking adjust our viewpoints of everything.
Yes.
But so
of everything we've just experienced.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the reputation of Cabaret being a serious musical, a lot of people who don't watch it just think of it as like, okay, this has got to be a heavy thing. Or they watch the Tony performance, or they watch the Olivier performance with What's Her Face.
Yes.
Where she just screamed her lungs out and
her way through the song.
Yep, and sweated her way across the stage. And I just sat there being like, I mean, it's impressive that you can do that more than once, but I don't want to see you do it once. So what are we doing here? And people watching this performance thinking that that's what Cabaret is, they were like, oh, way too colorful, way too poppy. I'm like, no, what they're doing is like the first 45 minutes of the show. That's the vibe. But also, it like the whole thing is just very, we're throwing Cabaret in your face again and doing something new. And I got excited for a second because the casting for Broadway seemed really cool. And BB and Steven do bring it to every ball. Mm-hmm. But ultimately I walked out, I'm like, yeah, no, that's exactly what I thought it was going to be. Yeah. They had a lot of ideas. Sure. Half of them had nothing to do with Cabaret.
Right.
And we move on.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, you know, the thing about the material itself, right? The songs, the book, it's so good. It's such a well-crafted musical.
It's a masterpiece, yeah.
It's like, you know, in a sense, like, I don't know, like other musicals of the golden, right? Like Guys and Dolls, like you can only fuck it up. And so it's like this thing of perhaps not trusting enough in what the show is on the page. Mm-hmm. And so we feel like we have to layer so much on top of it to grab attention, to make an audience, to force an audience to feel something and force them to experience something. And
to remember that we're the ones that did it. Like there are revivals where directors are like, I must put my stamp on it. You must know that this was my production.
Right.
And what I appreciate about Maria's direction with Merrily is that you never feel as a director she's going, pay attention to what I'm doing.
Like concept over anything else. Yeah.
There's just got like moments where it's very clearly a director choice, and you're like, I don't know about her. I don't think that was the moment. But it is a lighter direction than other musicals. But I also think that's why Danya did win, because Danya's direction for The Outsiders, it's not so much look at me so much as just like, look at all the ways I'm making this work for you.
Oh,
and
interesting. Yeah. Okay. I buy that. Yeah, I understand that.
It is a very stagey presentation. And a lot of direction in a musical winners are for how showy the staging is. I think the last time we got direction of a musical going to a director that like wasn't super showy was David Cromer for Band's Visit.
Right.
And that's what, like, because even Sam Gold for Fun Home, like, the tone and the control over the material was beautiful, and the cast was phenomenal. But there was also the story of he took it from proscenium to In the Round, and look how he made In the Round work, and where things popped up and things came in and out and flowed in and out, and he made it flow like a memory.
The stage
floor, the stage, all of it, and it makes the whole thing. He literally staged a memory in front of our eyes.
Yeah, right.
And that was so beautiful, and in addition to being impressive and right for the show. Yeah. But like, if it was just them at like music stands, still giving amazing performances, doing an amazing show, he probably wouldn't have won because it was a little less showy.
Yes.
Danya did a little more of a showy job than Maria did, but I also think there were a couple of moments in Merrily where Maria didn't have total control over what was happening.
Offline, I can't wait to hear.
Yeah. Listen, Maria Freeman does the best saga of Jenny you've ever heard. Speaking of Lady in the Dark, the Royal National production of Lady in the Dark, it's online on YouTube. Listen to it. She's fucking incredible. But
I mean, at the height of her musical theater career,
she was like one of the go-to musical theater divas in the West End.
Good.
She was the first mother in Ragtime over there.
Yeah.
She was Fosca in Passion. Like, Girlfriend just turned it out. She was like the Julia Mackenzie of her time.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I first discovered her in the Hey Mr. Producer concert, which was one of the best things of all time.
Yes, I love that concert. Wait, what did she sing?
She sang something from Martin Garrett, which was dumb, but she also did...
Was she in the Broadway Baby number?
They all were, yes.
Yeah.
But she also did You Could Drive a Person Crazy with Lea Salonga.
Yes. And Millicent Martin.
And Ruthie Henschel.
That's right.
That fucking number is so good. It's also
It's a really good version of that song.
It is.
Only because each of those women do it to their strengths.
It might be the most, like, sexy and sophisticated I've ever seen Lea Salonga. She looks like she's about to host a cocktail party on the Upper East Side. Her hair is slicked back in a type and she sounds like a jazz singer dream. When she just begins with, You could drive a person crazy.
The other thing I love about that is Bernadette's being alive.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah.
It's beautifully sung, but there's also something about the orchestration for that particular version of the song that I just love.
I was recently
she tosses in a key change towards the end.
I was recently on a podcast talking about her in that concert, but I was talking about Unexpected Song, which is one of my favorite renditions of a song ever, because I think Unexpected Song is stupid. It's like a Frank Wildhorn song. It's one statement over and over, but each verse just goes up a key. And it's like, how can I say the same thing 9 different times? But she acts it in a way and performs in a way that it changes. And she's so good. She's in a dress that's so tight you can see her uterus. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
I love her new ice cream ads too.
Oh, everyone does.
I'm just sorry. I'm looking at my notes just to make sure that
Someone wanted to write in about Idina Menzel telling Cynthia Erivo that movie you did. Like, I can't wait to see that movie you did.
I think that's cute.
It was cute. No, it was very funny.
It was and then they gave each other, like, she gave her, Cynthia Erivo gave her a really cute little nudge. And I don't know, I thought it was adorable. I
really wanted Cynthia Erivo to be like, and Idina, I can't wait to see you in The Color Purple.
This is what I wrote that, because I really liked a lot of the speeches, and they were a lot of them were written down on a piece of paper or on their phones. But I thought, of course they're going to be good, because most of them have been practicing these speeches since they were, teenagers in the bathroom, and they sort of, not that it was calculated at all, but they've been rehearsing it for a long time.
Well, they weren't wasting our time with their speeches.
Yeah, and and it was just so many different versions of a good acceptance speech.
Yeah, there's a difference between an actor or a writer giving an acceptance speech and maybe a producer here or there. Someone mentioned Sonia Friedman adjusting her dress during the telecast. It was like a really
Oh, I missed that. I didn't see that.
She was doing something where it was like it was after it was.
Well, you forget, I'm sure, that you're
the
being
cameras
watched
on
by by scores and scores of people on television.
Yeah, she also, her acceptance speech for Merrily, she was like clearly pissed that Maria didn't win and gave Maria like the final moment.
Yes.
And Maria ended it so beautifully.
Oh, it was so gracious.
Yeah, but it was like
so wonderful. And bringing it back to Sondheim.
Yeah, I'm like, Sonia, you've made so much money off of this revival. Like, Maria's going to have carte blanche for the next 5 years to direct whatever she wants. Someone also wrote in, they were like, how can Maria lose? Is she not well liked or something? I'm like, no, she's very well liked. First of all, she's only been here once to do Woman in White, but she's very well liked. It's just, I think not everyone was enthralled with Merrily, and I also think a lot of people watched Outsiders and were just more impressed with what Danya did on a technical level.
Right, exactly, for stuff that you've already mentioned.
Yeah.
And if it's for I
know what you mean.
I didn't mean that in a bad way.
I know, it still was funny.
I meant that, right, with Merrily, it's the score that we all already know, and love, that overture, right, and these performances. And yes, obviously a director is important, but the thing that audiences will walk out of that theater remembering most is going to be more related to those elements than the direction of the piece.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, so then let's talk about Best Musical for a quick second as we head out, because Merrily was always going to win. We knew it was going to win. Right. The best thing about Gutenberg was that Andrew Reynolds and Josh Gad came on to talk about revivals and what is a revival.
And they had a cute bit.
Yeah, talking about the classics and the classic rule and all that stuff. A lot of opinions about Best Musical. A few people were like, I really wanted it to be Illinois, even though I knew it wasn't going to happen. I'm like, I'm glad you knew that. It ultimately was down to Suf's, Hell's Kitchen, and Outsiders. Yeah. Maybe it's because of my overt stance about Hell's Kitchen. And I did write on Instagram, first on Close Friends, and then I said, no, I stand by this statement. And so I put it on Main, which was every Tony that Hell's Kitchen loses.
I saw that on your story, yeah.
Every Tony that Hell's Kitchen loses is another brick on the pathway to heaven. There may or may not be a Broadway music director who saw that and texted me. He was like, that's fucking genius. But so I'm saying because of that, maybe like the Hell's Kitchen fans didn't feel comfortable writing into me about like that they wanted Hell's Kitchen to win. But I've also I don't know. The understanding I got from the Tony voters I spoke to was that they were kind of looking for every reason to not vote for Hell's Kitchen. I think part of it was after the reviews and the box office and the whole like event of Alicia Keys just being around Broadway, they were all very underwhelmed by it and felt almost hoodwinked.
Interesting.
Because again, that script is terrible. And then a lot of people I know who saw it walked out and they were like, I didn't hate it, but like that wasn't amazing.
Right.
And I also know like Alicia's campaigning rubbed some people the wrong way. So then it goes down to Sufs and the Outsiders, and then a lot of people I know voting. First of all, there was a whole camp of voters, by the way, who I just need to say fucking hate Sufs. I won't give their names. I don't agree with all of them.
Right.
But when I say like that show is not the champion of the community like you'd want to believe it is. Right. There are people who really fucking hated it, but also people who hated Outsiders, people who hated Notebook. Everyone has their haters. Sure. But someone wrote in after Outsiders won that basically was like, homoerotic fangirl pandering based off of a, YA novel from a 16-year-old, like, that is not the move. I'm like, okay, first of all, let us not undermine the achievement of a 16-year-old woman writing a classic that has endured for decades.
Still read in high schools today, right?
It was mandatory reading when I was in school. Yeah. Like, if I could do one thing in my life at the age of 16 that lasted as long as that did for S.E. Hinton, I'd be set. But also, like, she also then went on to write a bunch of other books that also became classics in the genre. Like, it's not like she was a one-and-done trick pony. She did the fucking thing. So that already is an achievement, and I don't like someone trying to undermine that for the sake of being a snarky cunt. And also, one of the reasons why I wasn't totally sold that Outsiders could win 3 weeks ago was because the fan base for it currently, the most fervent, is, like, the young girl fan base. Mm-hmm. And we as a society don't tend to take young girls seriously. And granted, the way they act at Jonas Brothers concerts makes you go, yeah, sure. You go, stuff's had it wrong. Women shouldn't be allowed to vote.
Justified.
Yeah. But there is something about Outsiders that I do find very compelling, and it is just so theatrical.
Yeah.
Then the next thing about it being homoerotic, like it's a dig, I sit here going, and what?
Yeah,
Challengers
right.
is homoerotic, and it's my favorite movie of the year so far.
Right. The thing that's, I feel like both explicitly and implicitly that's come up as we've been talking is, okay, parts of a whole and then the whole.
Yeah.
Right? And so the whole is an experience, right? The whole encompasses every single element from the moment that you walk into that theater to the curtain call, or even from the moment that you exit, right? So that's every single design component and how they all fit together into the puzzle. That's how the director brings it all together. That's how the director brings it all together around the people and bodies that are on the stage. And then on top of that, the way that the choreographer does all that when the choreography needs to continue to tell the story. So that's the whole, right?
Yeah.
And that's the category. That's the final category for the evening.
Yeah.
Right? So like as much as we might want to latch on to say, oh my God, this music, that thing, I can't get over it. I'm so affected and moved by the score. Mm-hmm. Legit opinions all around for all the shows, I'm sure. But again, that's only one part of the whole.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, think about I hate this comparison because I do think Outsiders is overall a better musical than the one I'm about to compare it to. But think about the year of Phantom versus Into the Woods.
Sure.
Phantom wins design and direction, but nothing for its writing. Mm-hmm. And everyone goes, well, how can you win musical if not for your writing? And Phantom obviously was just such an undeniable juggernaut that you could not vote for it. It had done so much for the community by just being the hit that it was.
Yeah.
But we also forget that Into the Woods was not like universally beloved when it opened.
When it opened, you're right. Yeah.
Everyone was like, this is very clever. This is very, smart. But
and the most commercial of Sondheim's shows.
Yeah, it was successful overall.
Yeah.
Like it ran for 2 years and made money.
Yeah.
But it was, and people didn't walk out going, oh my God, that's like another one for the Sondheim canon. In fact, my friend Ben Rimmelauer, who has the podcast Giants in the Sky,
which I love.
It's a great one. He needs to alter the sound for some of those guests, but other than that,
It does need to get a little louder for some of them.
yeah, but he's not going to do it. And you know what? Respect. He's
Also,
like,
the introduction is funny because it's something like how Sondheim and Lapine went into the woods with me. So it sounds like
he was there with them.
Rimmelauer was there.
Yeah. He was in the room where it happened.
Yes.
But he talks about like Into the Woods is not his favorite Sondheim by a long stretch.
Yeah, right.
But it is a major one. And it took a long time for a lot of people to kind of sign on. Phantom, undeniable out the gate, even if you don't love the show. But also I will say, having seen the original production of Phantom of the Opera a handful of times over a few years.
I saw it twice. I saw it once on tour at the Kennedy Center, and then I saw it in South Korea.
Okay, so I saw it in 1999 with Sandra Joseph and Hugh Pinero. I then saw it again in 2007 with, you guessed it, Sandra Joseph and Hugh Pinero.
Wait, I think I might have seen it around 1999. It would have been 98, 99.
With Sandra Joseph and Hugh Pinero?
I don't think it was either
No.
of them. Yeah.
But I first saw it in 99. I was like, okay, that was fun enough. And then I saw it again in 07, maybe 06. And that changed my mind about the show. Not that it was brilliant, but I was like, oh, this production works like a motherfucker.
Oh, 100%.
I then saw it. I saw their dress rehearsal for the reopening post-COVID, where they made some changes, which were dumb. And then I saw it again like 2 months later to take a friend who had never seen it.
Oh, you've seen it a lot. Okay.
Not intentionally. Like
Yeah,
I was invited
for various reasons.
I was
Sure.
invited to the dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
A friend really.
And I'm
really
sure that
wanted
was
to go.
exciting post-COVID,
Absolutely.
right? Post-shutdown. Yeah.
And then my friend really, really wanted to see it. She had never seen it before. I was like, okay, I'll go with you. And then I got invited to the 35th anniversary performance. But I will say, the first 20 minutes of Phantom of the Opera is a fucking magic trick. It sets a tone, and it gets you excited about something where nothing has really happened.
Yeah, 100%. Look, all the complaints about the story, and it's a very lean story, and the
with sexual politics that are not great,
the problematic title character, all of that, legit, 100% legit. And at the time it opened, I mean, stagecraft that hadn't really ever existed, that had never been seen like that
Yeah.
before.
And a hunger for a purely romantic, lush musical.
Yes.
Because the 80s were
Yes.
it's so weird because the 80s had a lot of epic, earnest musicals, but it was a very cynical decade. So you see,
that's
so
a
like
good
it's
point.
it's
So there's an earnestness to it.
yeah, that people are yearning for in their art.
Yes.
Which
sure.
I also talk about this with the mega musicals in past series. Like, what makes shows like Les Mis and Phantom and Cats and Miss Saigon like universal to all these other countries in a way that Sondheim musicals take a longer time to do is that they are able to reach people on a chemical level through their music
Sure.
and their lushness
Yeah.
and their lack of sarcasm.
Yeah.
And it makes it easier to make fun of, and you can find so many issues with them. And believe me, I got issues with plenty of those shows.
Totally.
But ultimately, there was something about it that connects.
Yeah.
And Outsiders, I think, connects with a lot of people, even if there are bumps in the road.
Sure.
You know, the score, I think, is fine. It does the job if it's not maybe like the most well-crafted score. But also, I don't think any...
That was so good in bringing back around to Outsiders. I'm
Thank
very
you. Well, that was the
impressed.
whole point.
Really well done.
That was the whole point. But, like... someone wrote, like, I'm glad that Hell's Kitchen didn't win, but I do think that Outsiders and Hell's Kitchen are both trash. I'm like, Outsiders is not trash. It's just not. It's at the very least, it's above that. Mm-hmm. I will grant you that it's mid. I will grant you that it's like underwhelming after hearing such great things. I think it's quite good. I don't think it's amazing, but I don't think any musical this season was amazing.
Right.
Even Illinois, I have my issues with, and that's my favorite of the musicals I saw this year. So, you know, you deal with the competition you have, and you win out over who you're up against.
Yeah, right. The context of the current season. Yeah.
Outsiders wasn't up against Kimberly
Yeah.
Akimbo
Yeah,
or,
that's right.
or
Outsiders
Hadestown.
it was not up against Sunday in the Park with George.
No,
Right? Yeah.
it was up against Hell's Kitchen
Yeah, right.
and Water for Elephants, and it won.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like Jerome Robbins' Broadway would not have beat City of Angels.
Oh, yes. Right.
It
Yeah.
beat Black and Blue and Starmites.
Yeah.
Sunset Boulevard won best.
Context of the season. Yeah.
Sunset Boulevard won best score and best book against nobody.
Yes, that's right.
So
That's
there we
right.
go.
Yeah, that was the year Glenn Close and Rebecca Luker. Those were the only
Faced it.
two nominees for.
Yep.
for
You had someone
lead
with
actress.
with a gorgeous voice and maybe not the best actress, and then someone who's a great actress and maybe not the most gorgeous voice.
Yeah, but that was it. Like
That was it?
Those were the only options. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. One might call it a Sophie's choice, wouldn't it? Do you go for the one who...
One could.
Do you go for the one who gives you the musical or the one who gives you the theater?
Oh gosh. I mean, Rebecca Luker's voice is like crystal.
It's my
right?
favorite. Wishing you were somehow here again. It's dumb how beautiful that woman's voice was.
And you know, Norma has these power ballads that mixed in with the sort of movie star glamour that is just a part of who Glenn Close was or is.
And always will be.
Yeah, I think, you know, the showier role won, I think.
As I said before.
Both skilled performers, actors, singers, even, but the showier role in that instance.
And that one won.
Yeah.
And as I've said before, I do not like Sunset Boulevard. I think she's a bad musical. And I'm excited to see it get fucked with.
Yes, I'm excited
in a
to
dirty
see
way.
what it
in the fall.
in a dirty way, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they are.
It's gonna get dirty.
They're gonna do some
Like
nasty
literally
things to
messy.
it.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Literally messy. There's mess. Yeah, in it.
I can't wait.
From the pictures and little bit of video that I've seen.
I can't
the West End production.
fucking wait.
Yeah, me too.
Do it.
I am looking forward to next season. I am. There's a lot of really good stuff that I want to see.
And stuff that I'm hoping is good, but I'm still kind of a little skeptical about.
Actually, that I should have restated it like that. There's a lot that I want to see that I'm hoping is good. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
We go with open arms and side eye. Is how I describe it.
Or maybe side eye, ready to go if needed.
Open-minded arm's length. That's how I put it. I go with an open-minded arm's length.
I love it.
Thank you so much, James. We did it.
I know we did it, and I think in less time than we did it last time.
Possible. I mean, we'll see how long this ends up being. I don't think we did 4.5 hours today,
Yes,
which is
I
how
don't
long.
believe that's what it was.
That is how long it took us to do Miss Saigon.
Yeah. I hope your listeners can tolerate all the silly things that I said. So
I mean, I did 4 4 hours of ranking of shows this season, and people stuck around for all of it. I don't.
Well, yeah, but it's because it's your show. I'm some rando that's popped in.
You
to
are
be a guest.
a Lucille Lortel nominated performer. You are in movies, sir. What was the one you just did?
It's called Problemista.
Yeah. What's your part in that?
I play man in parentheses cleaning boy fetish. On my Instagram, I say man in parentheses cleaning boy fetish and the Juilliard School. I feel like that juxtaposition is very important.
Yeah, you need people to know that you were trained to be a fetish.
Yes, that's right.
Love it. Love it. James, where can people find you if you want them to find you?
I am on Instagram at James Seol, all one word, JamesSeol. And that's it.
I'm on Instagram at Matt Koplik, usual spelling. We didn't really talk about play, but that was stereophonic. We knew that was going to happen. We didn't talk about... We
talked enough about stereophonic throughout the course of the...
And we talked about, like, revival of musical, a little bit about revival of a play, but, like, we always knew that was going to be appropriate. There was a moment people thought it could be Pearly Victorious because the PBS broadcast, but I think that really just benefited Cara more than the show. And
oh, that's good insight.
Yeah.
That's good analysis.
And it was, and same as I said with Jeremy Strong, like, Jeremy won so they could honor Enemy of the People. Cara won so they could honor Pearly Victorious. Right. And an Appropriate won so they could honor Appropriate. If you like this podcast, guys, if you've made it through this far, you can give us a nice 5-star rating or review. If you give us a review, I will read it on the pod. We got a new one that my mom really fucking loved, and I'm going to read it right now. So please play the Light of the Piazza Overture. 5 stars. Matt, how you slay. I listen to a number of podcasts, but Broadway Breakdown is sublime, an absolute must. I know. Listened to Matt and his mom this morning recounting their 6-day trip to London, and it was sheer heaven. Loved their thoughtful analysis of the 4 shows they saw and all the things they did. I have to make a note about this in a second when I finish the review. Matt has such a gorgeously nuanced and always honest take on theater and life in general. He's also luminously witty and charming. He said today that he's a meek mouse with the voice of a lion, but don't believe it, he's the most in control, intelligent, and authoritative host out there, and I just can't get enough of his brilliance. My lord, and by the way, he uses this brilliance to bring out the best in his guests, James. Matt, please come to San Francisco and do an evening with Matt Koplik in which you simply talk for 2.5 hours, only 2.5 hours? Show some clips and take Q&A. Castro Theater is closed for renovations at the moment. Isn't that a pretty big theater? But there's the Curran.
Yeah.
That's also like 2,000 seats. The Tony Rembe,
which is the ACT Theater.
Okay. Strand, Norse Auditorium, or the Herbst. Or if you do a Broadway Breakdown cruise, sign me up. Matt, you're the best. Thank you so much.
Wow, what a lovely review.
The people who write reviews, when I say, like, hey, want to write a review, they take it fucking seriously.
And so, like, concise and precise.
Yeah. Well, and I'd set a goal for us to reach 255 or 231 to reach 255
you've mentioned that. Yeah.
By the end of June. And if we did that, I would share a scene from the play that I wrote that made it to the semifinals for the Terrence McNally Newworks Incubator, and we would do the scene that I had to submit to get to that section. We're actually going to film some of the plays soon because we were going to do a reading, but now developmental contracts are on stall with Access Equity.
Because of equity. Yeah.
But we found a way around that.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna do a little something, and I'll share it once we hit 255. Preferably at the end of June. If we don't hit that by the end of June, then by the end of July, we got to hit 265. So,
gotcha. Good, I like it.
Just telling y'all now. A couple people wrote in with the messages this past 24 hours. They were like, "This isn't about the Tonys, but I just want to say, like, your mom is amazing. Like she is honest and she slays. Like,
oh my gosh, I love it. That's the episode that I need to catch up on. Yeah, that's the most recent one, right?
I make a sports reference and I get it all wrong, and my mom's like, "Don't do sports analogies. You don't know what you're talking about." and someone wrote in, they're like, "I loved it when your mom told you not to do that."
Oh my god, what a wonderful thing for someone to sit across from you here to talk about the thing that you want to talk about, but also know you so well. Mm-hmm.
And even we finished, and when we finished recording, she was like, "You're really good at this." I was like, "Well, I've been doing it now for a few years. I'm hoping that I'm okay at it by now." I'm hoping.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah,
it's okay.
You're no Ben Rimmelauer.
I never plan to be. Sometimes you got to know your limitations.
True.
Some people sit on high like Ben, and some of us are just happy to be in the third tier of the David Koch Theater watching the Tony Awards, claiming that Alicia Keys gave her the performance of the night.
On that
note, James, we close out every episode with a Broadway diva. Who do you want to close us out today? And if you say Alicia Keys, I will punch you in the dick.
I almost did, but then you threatened me. So
I sure did.
I will rescind that potential choice. You know what? Wait, who? I said someone last time. I might repeat the same person. Well, you know what? Since we talked about her this evening, in this conversation, Bernadette Peters.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We'll do Bernadette Peters.
Yay.
Bernadette, you are lovely. James, this has been wonderful.
Such a great time.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. I think we're going to have an episode next week. I can't recall. Either next week or the week after. We're slowly coming back since the London trip. It's all been sea legs, and this has been a very busy week coming up. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. We're going to figure it out, guys. Don't you worry. Either way, happy Pride. Thank you for listening. And let's look forward to next season. All right, take it away, Bernadette. Bye.
I fell in love with love one night when the moon was full. I was unwise with eyes unable to see. I fell